Trong. We're excited to be here and excited to do it again. We've got a brew in a bag session for us today. Before we get into introducing everybody around, if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Brian of Benham Brewing. Hopefully you've seen some of our tutorials and product reviews and things like that. We have our live chat feature on our website, so if you're brewing and during your brew day you're having some issues and things, you can chat us up live. We'll answer in real time. Most of the responses actually come from me, so you'll be talking to me directly. As always, with me on any of our live streams or podcasts is Christy of the famed Brew Crew. She's producing today and doing a fine job, I might add, although we're just getting started, so we'll see how that goes. And of course, joining us from California, who's on our last live stream, and joining us again today is Trong from Homebrewer LAB. Trong, how are you, sir? Can you hear me?
You're fine. So good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. We had so much fun on the last stream, we decided we should do this again.
Yes, okay.
No matter what the people said, we're like, no, we're doing this again.
All right, well, I'm all set in my kitchen trying to get things ready for you guys.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be fun that we're going to do brew, all green, brew in a bag.
Yes.
I haven't done that for a while, but...
well, and like I was telling you as we were kind of doing the warm-up, I've never done brew in a bag. I've done all grain, I've done extract, never done brew in a bag. So this will be kind of fun.
It's real easy. Yeah.
So before we dive into it, let's just go through the recipe real quick. And kind of review what it is we're making. So we did a Black Butte Porter last stream, which came out really well. And I'm going to
really good, really turned out really good. That was a good.
I got a glass of that. I'm going to pour here in a little bit, and I'll be enjoying that on the stream. So that came out great. As far as what we're doing today, Trong, this is your recipe. This is a juicy IPA. So let's see if we can run through the ingredients. We'll see if we can get the.
This is actually a clone. Originally published by American Homebrew Associations on their website.
Okay.
I just copy it and then I rework it to a 5-liter batch, and we made it this many times. One of the favorites recipe that we made in our beer brewing class before COVID. That we were able to have a in-person brewing class, and it was very popular. I have got my pot of water, 1 gallon or so of water, heat up to 170 degrees right now. So I have the grain back. So let me know when I drop the bags. Okay. You
got it. And we'll start a timer too once we get rolling. So let's see if we can throw the recipe up on the screen, and I'll talk about it real quick. And then for those of you that are joining us live today, it looks like we got a couple viewers. Feel free to chat us up when we have some kind of a little bit of downtime as waiting for the boil or things to heat up. We'll go through your questions and comments, and we'll kind of answer them in real time. So that's your time to kind of talk to us. So let's talk about the recipe. So it is a 60-minute mash, brew in a bag. It is a 1.5 gallon recipe. And Trong, I noted on your recipe, you're much kinder than I am. You put it in imperial and in metric. So I went ahead and made some notes, so we'll go through that. So 1.25 kilograms of a U.S. 2-row malt, or 2 pounds, 12 ounces. 200 grams of Munich, or 7 ounces. 80 grams, or 3 ounces of Crystal 75. That kind of completes our grain bill. So a pretty simple grain bill. It's got some good crystal malt in there to give it some residual sweetness against the hops we're going to be adding. Speaking of hops, we've got our Nugget. 7 grams, or 0.25 ounces. That'll be our 30-minute edition. We've got our Citra, same amount, 7 grams, or 0.25 ounces for 15 minutes. Same with Mosaic. That's our 15-minute edition at the 7 grams, or 0.25 ounces. And then a steep hop of Citra for 7 grams, or 0.25 ounces. And we'll steep it for about 10 minutes. Now, as it goes through fermentation, we got some dry hops as well. So Citra and Mosaic near the end of fermentation, about 14 grams, or half an ounce. And then the yeast that we're using today, or supposed to be using today, I should say, is the Hornindal Kveik yeast. Unfortunately, Trong, my local homebrew store did not have the Hornindal Kveik. So we're using a Voss Kveik.
Okay. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Actually, I'm using the Voss too, because the Voss is actually, for some reason, a lot cheaper than the Hornindal Kveik from Imperial. So I got, and they work pretty well. They're very aggressive. In fact, I already start brewing a batch on Thursday, and 39 even, and I've been at 5 psi all this time. So I'm going to use that to show people how I'm going to dry hop. You see, so we can do dry hop live.
We'll do a live demo. I like it. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get the steeping started, get our mash started.
Okay.
And then we can chat a little bit about the yeast and things. So
this is my grain bag. This is my grain bag. I'm going to drop it in. Okay. This is my thing.
Yep.
And I drop it in slowly in the whole bag. And then what I do is, right now the temperature is 179 degrees, but as soon as I drop the grain bag, it's going to drop down to 160 something.
Yes.
And when that happens, and then I'm going to put the whole pot in my oven. I have my oven right now turned on at 170 degrees Fahrenheit. So nice. I'm going to stick it in there. And then that's how I'm going to mash things. So because my philosophy here with Pot-Au-Brew is that we brew everything in the kitchen, everything that we have. So because we don't have an appliance, we have a brewware, like a cookware. And so that's what I have right now. And the temperatures are dropping. Right?
Yeah. Yep. I'm getting my grain added here. And then I actually, obviously I don't have an oven here in the studio or garage or however you want to say it. So I actually the induction burner I'm earning. Wow, we're off to a good start. The induction burner that I'm using actually can hold temperature. So I've got it set at the 170. So that temp will drop, and we're going to probably mash it around. What do you think? 152, 156. What do you think it'll equalize at, Trong?
Yeah, we mash it about what I say in the we mash at about 160. Yeah,
about 160.
Yeah, that'd be 155, 160. So we.
And this is a pretty thick mash. Let's see if I can get all that grain hydrated in there. There we go. Yeah, I went because I haven't done brew in a bag before, so I went to my local homebrew shop and got the smallest grain bag that they had for brew in a bag, and it was large, way larger than I needed. But I'm like, better too big than too small. There we go. It's starting to get hydrated there. Good.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'll take a temperature here in a second once we get it settled down. And we'll see what we equalize at. This smells really nice. There we go. All right. I'm going to start a timer, and then I'll grab temperature. Let's see here. Forgot to get that going, and we're off and running. Perfect. All right, let's get a temperature, see what we came into. Yeah, I'm hitting 154, 155.
Okay, so that's good. My temperature is a bit high, so I'll add some water down, cold water to kind of bring it down a bit.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Now, with the brew in the bag, like I said, I haven't done it before. Do you just let it, well, you're putting it in the oven. Do you stir it to mix it occasionally, or do you just let it sit and rest?
I let it sit in the oven, and every 10-15 minutes, when I remember, I'm going to reach in, I pour the bag up and let it drop down. Wow. Because to circulate that's my sparging method.
Yes.
Yeah. So I can show you here. So this is my grain deal, right? So it be sit in the oven every now and then. I'm gonna reach in, lift it up, let it drain, and drop it back down. So let's kind of force the water to go through the grain, and I do that whenever I remember, 10-15 minutes, half an hour. Okay. And then I also toward the end, I'm gonna take a couple of drop of the wood, and I measure the gravity with a refractometer, so that I can see when it's stabilized, when it doesn't go up anymore. Then that's my finished. So through my experience with with this much grain, usually take about 45 minutes and it do pretty, would done pretty much done.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, and I got my refractor thermometer out. I'm going to check it and see. You know, it's interesting. I've actually had some issues with the past couple of our batches where my conversion has been really, really low.
Really?
And I haven't been good and get a good extraction of the sugars. And I've been debating if it's something in my system or it's the particular batch of grain that I got that maybe the diastatic power isn't as good as it used to be, that maybe it was not a good crop or something. You know, I'm not 100% sure. So we'll see. This will kind of answer that question, because if I get not great extraction with this, I got some extract I can throw in to kind of boost the gravity if I need to, but that'll be like, yes, your system's fine. It's this batch of grain, which is almost gone. So I might have to get a new bag anyway.
Well, we'll see how that goes. But you know, I brew a batch. I told you on Thursday. Let me bring it here to show you. I put it up in a counter, keep it warm. And this is the Pot-Au-Brew that was a bring. I don't know if you can see that. You can see it there for monitor right now.
I should see it here in a second.
Yeah, bubbling like pretty well, and the pressure is right now at 5 psi.
Yeah.
So after for almost a day and a half now, and which means I can dry hop it now, because and we talked, we share the reason why I pressure ferment for 5 psi for a couple of days, 2-3 days, depending on the recipe, and then I dry hop because what I can go into that now if you want me to.
No, I was going to say, is that because of the yeast you're using, or is this kind of part of the process?
Because a lot of folks concerned about putting oxygen into their beer, their wort by dry hopping, and I have done enough work to tell you that there are 3 things that you don't have to worry about if you're getting oxygen into your wort by dry hopping during dry hopping. Because if you do pressure fermentation long enough, that the beer, the wort, gonna have some CO2 gas diffuse in it.
Yeah.
And then, so when you open up, you at 5 psi for 2 days, and I will show you now. If you want to give me a little bit to go get my dry hop, but I can talk about it now.
Yeah, we can talk about it.
And then at 5 psi right now, and then for dry hopping, what I do is I continuously lower the pressure down, because I cannot open this right now because under pressure. I gradually slow the pressure down to 0 to the point I kind of open the lid. And the moment I open the lid, the CO2 gas that has been diffused in the wort is going to come out solution, because CO2 gas doesn't like to stay in liquid unless it's cold and unless it's under pressure. So right now it's not cold, and it won't go from pressure of 5 psi down to 0. So CO2 start coming out solution, and so that create a little rush of CO2 gas, positive pressure in my wort on top of my headspace. So when I open up, I quickly dump my hops in, and the moment I dump the hops in, all the million particles that hit the wort with CO2 gas in there, it's gonna go like crazy, because the process go nucleation. All the millions of things of particle that allow the CO2 gas to latches on into it and jump out of solution and create bubbling. So even more CO2 gas come up, and then when I close it, and the CO2, you can watch the pressure start going up pretty quickly because of CO2 gas come out. So the number 2, you don't have, if any air get inside, if you're not careful or whatever, you didn't do a good job, or you didn't have enough CO2 gas diffused in your wort, the CO2 gas, the enucleation, the particle of hot particle will push more CO2 gas out. And even number 3, even if you have oxygen go into the beer in your fermenter, at that point, it's no problem, because yeast love oxygen. the active fermenting yeast gonna grab on all those oxygen that happen to get inside your fermenter. They're gonna eat it up. They're gonna clean it up for you. Because why yeast doing that? Because yeast need oxygen to make more yeast, and during active fermentation, the yeast will consume it all the oxygen. And number 4, as the pressure building up, any CO2 oxygen that left in the tank will be put out through the spinning valve. So there is absolutely no worry about concern about getting oxygen in to your beer during dry hopping. And all this, our theory, we have proven. We have proven it because we can measure the oxygen level on the headspace of the beer using an optical oxygen dosimeter.
Yes.
That we can actually measure if the oxygen in the headspace go up during fermentation or not. And if we do it in a matter of 10-15 seconds, it never go up. So,
right.
So,
and I've always known that, you know, when you dry hop something, it starts a kind of a mini fermentation, and that the yeast will take up that oxygen. So there's no concern with oxidation because they'll take it up way too fast.
Yeah, we're true.
Now,
I see people spend a lot of money on the hop bung and all those crazy things, cost $100.
Yeah. Yeah. But I like the idea too, because it's pressure fermentation. Like you say, you release the pressure, CO2 comes out. It's flushing everything out anyway. And once it stops, it's heavier than air, so it leaves a blanket over the top of the worts or the beer, and so really nothing's getting in there. I'm gonna speaking of beer, I'm gonna pour myself a beer real quick. So this is the Black Butte Porter that we did last brew day.
Okay. So, all right, I go get mine too.
Yes, go get yours. Figure we need a little. We're going to be talking a lot, so we need to keep our.
So what I did was I bottled mine so that I need to use the pot to make the beer today. So I bottled and actually this is a very good recipe for the. It's just delicious and so easy to brew because you don't even have to dry hop. You see? Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, it's we've done this I think twice now on the Pot-Au-Brew. Was it twice, Christy? I think we've done this.
Yeah, it's twice. Yep.
Yeah, and so it's come out phenomenal both times. And sometimes I love IPAs. I love New England IPAs. That fruit from the hops, that flavor is so good. But sometimes you need something dark and roasty, and like this hits the spot. Have you poured this on ice cream yet?
No, I haven't done it. Actually, my beer doesn't have much ahead because I only drink half a bottle like last night.
Yeah, we ended up bottling it a couple weeks ago, so it's been in good shape. And actually, ours, I'm glad. I was concerned that some of the seals on my bottles, the rubber gasket, I think I need to replace because some of them aren't holding pressure. This one did, so it's got that beautiful chocolatey head on it, and the carbonation is really, really good. So
and nice color, huh? Turn out really, really nice color. So I have this is a recipe to keep, and it's really easy to brew, man.
I had the recipe for like 10 years and never brewed it. It was just in my brew book. It was a clone that I gotten. I don't even remember where I got it from, but I never brewed it. And so when we finally did, I was shocked. I was like, oh, shame on me for not brewing this sooner.
So I'm going to measure, just keep my thermometer in the grain just to monitor the temperature.
Yep, I'm going to turn mine down a little bit and give it a stir. Take a gravity reading too and kind of see where we're baselining at. Smells really good.
Yeah, mine is 154. 154, and
mine was creeping up a little bit. We're at 156, so I just turned my burner down. I think I forgot to take it down from 160, so it was heading too hot. So we'll have that cool down here shortly. Let's see if we can get a little reading off of it. See where we're at. All right. My eyepiece is all out of focus. That's helpful. We're reading about 1044.
Already? You make sure you make sure the sample is cool. I usually take a little bit and I put on a metal spoon so that wait a couple of minutes so it's.
Here's a good question for you then, Trong. Does temperature impact measurement in a refractometer?
Oh yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. High
I know the
temperature.
hydrometers are calibrated to a specific temperature, but I didn't realize in the refractometer.
Yeah. You need to keep it at the room temperature. Just.
Well, I'm gonna have to change my
See, I usually put it on a metal spoon. I take a tiny amount, put a metal spoon, and I let it sit for, for a couple of minutes.
Okay, that's a good idea.
And then the best thing, I couldn't find it today, but I used to have a bunch of, Chinese soup spoon, like the little boat, little handle, like this is what I'm talking about, but I don't have it one. See, this is a soup spoon like this.
Yeah.
Usually it's metal. I have a bunch of this, a stack of metal. So I put this out and I drop it on the soup spoon like this, and this will work too, but metal will be nicer. Then I let it sit. Right? And the temperature will cool down really fast because the metal will kind of cool that hot liquid down. And then I will take my reading. So I have a series of those. So I can go back and check them if I remeasure them, and I have a series of spoons, so I can find that out. You see what I'm talking about now?
Yes.
So it's just a little trick that I have to. It's always nice to measure them at the same temperature so that you don't have any variations.
I'll have to see if Christy's got one of those spoons. I bet she does. Not to be offensive or anything, but I bet she's got a whole drawer full of them.
Yeah. Yeah, metal is really good for.
Yeah, and you know what? I've always struggled with my refractometer. I've calibrated it, and it always shows, like, I'll be going through the brew day and measuring, and then I get to the end, and I do the final reading with a hygrometer or hydrometer. Hydrometer? Yes. And the measurements, it's always off, and I've been racking my brain for years being like, what am I doing wrong? I calibrate it to the correct solution, but temperature might be the issue that I'm having with it. I did not know that it was temperature sensitive.
Right now, mine is 1.027.
1027. Okay.
Yeah, 0.27. So
I need to do a sample of mine now that it's cooled off.
What's the gravity supposed to be at this point?
It depends on how far in the mash it is. So we're just checking to see how the conversion's going. So there's really no set goal of it. We're just tracking the progression, how the conversion's happening. As those starches are converted over to the sugars.
Yeah. So we see, so right now it's 1.027 for mine. You see, if we have a serious spoon, we can do put number 1, number 2, so we'll go back and kind of recheck the migration of the mashing process.
Right.
And these are fun. I rather use this and use like one of those glass tube.
Brian, I'm gonna bring over some serious spoons.
Yes, we need some serious spoons. I'm surprised you haven't brought them over already. Why didn't you suggest it, Christy?
Yeah. So it's just you see, I have the this is a school trick. I have come up with a really cool way. Really cool way of hop processing. I want to show you guys today, and I'm really happy with it. It's such a small thing, but it makes brewing so nice and so easy. When you process the hop, usually I don't like to dump the pellet hops right into my words loose like that because, you know, because we brew beer in such a small volume, I want to make sure that I get as much solid out of my beer so I have as much volume that I can. So I usually put in a hop bags, you know, a series of hop bags, and I drop it in, and later on I have to fish the bag out. But that's kind of nuisance. But I come up with a hop spider, with a cloth hop spider. When you just drop the pellets into these spiders, and at the end I just lift the whole thing up. I squeeze the back to get all the liquid out, and then it's so easy. It's such a simple thing.
Yeah, you were. I think you showed me your hop spider last time, and I was normally I don't at least for Pot-Au-Brew, I don't use a hop spider too much, but we have done a lot of IPAs in it, and so I'm going to be using. It's going to be a little overkill for what we need for this, but this is from my 15-gallon system, so we'll use a hop spider today. Thank you for reminding me. Actually, I'll put it off.
No, but you see, I last time when I showed you, I was leaning toward doing a hop spider, use stainless steel mesh like what you just showed. But I decided that it's too more new. It takes more room to ship around because I want to include the hop spider to the Pot-Au-Brew because my philosophy is that I want to encourage people who never brew beer before, that when they get the Pot-Au-Brew, they open the box up. And they have everything to brew with. They don't have to go around ask where to go, where to buy, because very few people know where to get them. And you know, it's hard to go to a local homebrew supply these days because not too many of them around. So,
there's definitely less. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to make it real simple. And if I use the cloth bag, besides it's easy to clean, you don't have protein stuck to the screen that you have to screen inside out. With a cloth bag, you can wash them really easy, and then it doesn't take me a lot of room to ship them in the box. And I will show today. It'll work really, really nice. I never thought about doing that until I said, well, what happened to use this bag like when I was a child in Vietnam, we used to use this little bit like a sock that we put coffee ground and we put it in a pitch of hot water to brew coffee. That's how we brew coffee when I was a child. And then I said, well, we do the same thing, and it worked out really, really nice. And additionally, it turned out that when you drip the hops, loose hop in this big bag at the beginning that float a little bit. So I made a little hop stirrer. So when I stir the hops, and eventually when the hydrate enough, they all settle to the bottom. And it worked. It worked better than I ever expected to be. Really? And it's so simple. And I think the people who are going to get the Pot-Au-Brew are going to love it because it's make the whole brewing process so simple. You basically, if you do what with extract brewing, you know, you heat up a bar hot water, you warm it up, you dissolve your dry malt extract, you boil it, and then you put it hop spider in, and then you can just drop hops in, you know, at certain time, arrange a sequence, and then when the thing done, your brewing is done.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm excited to see the new hop spider. All right, our temperatures, we're holding about 153, 154. Good, so it's come down.
Yeah.
I don't know if I need a new refractometer, Trong. I'm getting all kinds of crazy readings now. It's a thicker mash than I'm used to. I don't know if I'm getting some solids in there, but I just read like a 1060. So that
1060?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think yours seem to be very high. See how mine go, because mine was 1.027, right? Back then, a few minutes ago.
That makes more sense, especially starting out with the mash. Mine, it's my mash. There's no way it's that high.
So I lift it up. I lift the back up and drop it back down. Just kind of circulate it. Make sure I have the right representative sample, and then take a little bit of the liquor out, and I put it in my Chinese soup spoon to chill. Yeah, right, because they're standing up nicely, right? You see, and then I let it sit there for a little bit. for the soup spoon. The ceramic soup spoon will work too. I guess it has a lot of mass, thermal mass that can absorb the heat from the wood. Yeah, from the warm wood. You know, we only have 150 something degrees, so it doesn't take long for it to chill down. It's just, especially there's not a lot of wood here. All right, so then now I'm going to put it on and see whether it should be. Put it over the sink so I don't make a mess when I. Yeah.
I don't know, Trong. I love how resourceful you are, or with everything and all your kitchen tools. It's like you basically use what you have. You don't have to go out and buy a bunch of crazy equipment. You just use spoons that you have on hand.
Yeah. It's that's the philosophy, man. I call this Ho Chi Minh Trail technology. Use everything we have. We have bicycle and bamboo to win the war. You see? Okay, it's good now. It works because right now I've got 137, 1.037. So it's working.
Okay. Yep, it's coming up.
It's coming up in the right spacing. You see? So see how nice it is. You don't waste a lot of beer. You see, usually you take one of those. What I call the floating, I can't think of that name right now. The little tube, hydrometer, right? Yeah. The standard hydrometer. You waste too much. You need 100 milliliter of liquid.
And you have to cool it down to 60 or 65 degrees. So the wait time to cool that down is just, the refractometer is a very beneficial tool. I don't know. Mine apparently needs to be replaced. It's all over.
Now these things are really inexpensive. You can buy one from Amazon for $15. You know,
and when they started making them for brewers instead of just the wine industry, so they went from having what are the wine? They use bricks, I think. Yeah. To measure the fruit juice. So I like that they have them now for brewers where it has specific gravity on it, which is really more what the home brewers do.
Yeah. No, I want to come back and talk about the influence of temperature. My thing, it actually said the letter ATC on this. I mean, automatic temperature compensation.
Yeah.
So, but even they say temperature compensated, I just want to make sure that the temperature is at basically the same, the room temperature, and the same between sampling. So.
Yeah, and I think mine's even is an ATC model as well, so it should be compensating for temperature. So it's, but again, maybe that's outside of the range that it's capable of.
Right. Yeah. They may talking about the design measure this thing like you go in the field to pick up some grape, you drop it in, the temperature could be from 60 to 70 to 80, but some with beer we have 150, 160, so that's kind of. I know it compensates a little bit. Like, let's say that you're worth 155 and it takes at one time, and the next time you do 157. I mean, it's certainly within the range, the capability to compensate. But I don't think it compensates like 50 or 70 degrees. Just my own kind of paranoid mindset, So I just want to just cool it down and it's so easy to do with my secret sauce Chinese soup spoons.
Ancient Chinese secret.
Yeah.
So I just took a sample of my wort and I tasted it. It is actually very sweet. So, being, what are we? 30 minutes into the mash?
Yeah.
Conversion's happening quick.
I don't think we need, as soon as it doesn't creep up anymore, then we can probably call it done, right? Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong, Trong. My reading is at 1067.
No, that's too fast.
I know. Something going on with my refract. I've had it for a very long time. It gets knocked around. I calibrate it, but maybe it's time to invest in a new one. Have you seen those the digital ones?
Yeah, I still do that.
You put a couple drops in them, and they're like $300.
Yes, I would love to have one of those things, but for just for fun. But I would I would the other thing I would spend money on. So
well, yeah, it's just the easy dens. That's what I'm thinking of, the easy dens, and they've had other ones that have come out too that are they're ridiculously expensive, and I don't understand. I don't get the appeal of it. Sure, it's digital, but for that price, I mean, the refractometer does the same thing.
Yeah, you see the philosophy that I wanted to create Pot-Au-Brew for is I want to turn that into a mainstream hobby. I wanted to make like home brewing the new home cooking, like people could just brew beer, you know, like regularly every week, every couple of weeks, and everybody around the world can do it. And I know they're gonna happen because it's so easy, even for me. I mean, I do this batch on Thursday, and I keep saying, God, this is so easy. This is so nice, you know.
Well, and that's one of the benefits of doing the pressure fermentation. You can get it at a higher temperature, so it will it'll ferment faster. But you use a lot of Kveik yeast, which is way more temperature tolerant. Now, full disclosure, we've used Kveik a couple times, and with the beers that we've made with it, we're not necessarily huge fans of the flavor profile of it. However, your recipe almost has to be dialed in for that, because some of the Kveik yeast will enhance more of the fruit flavor, and that can kind of unbalance things, at least from what I've seen. So I'm excited to try this with the Kveik, because hopefully we have some good flavor profile from it, because it's an incredible powerhouse of a yeast. And especially living in Arizona where it gets hot in the summertime, for the brewers that don't have access to be able to cool it down to the 65, 68 for fermentation, you can let it coast up to 90 and it's done in like 2 or 3 days. Yes, and it really simplifies the process. I'd love to get a good beer with the Kveik yeast.
Well, we'll see how it works out with the system, because the way we designed is to make it really easy for people to do and to have very good beer, which means that everything is done built into the system. And one of the things that we build in the system to control the temperatures, fermentation temperature, is use the yeast that can have high temperatures. You know, in the winter time when it's so things are not so warm, and if we still want to use Kveik yeast, what we can do is that we actually have put in some heat pad, or put it right next to something warm. You know, as long as above 70 degrees, Kveik yeast can handle it fine, but we go down to about 60 something, that they struggle. Yeah. So that's what, and I do all kind of things. I put in the winter time, I just put in my kitchen, I just put it on top of my hood. You know, like the temperature on top of the hood is pretty warm, because the air temperature near the roof of your ceiling, the ceiling of your kitchen is always warmer. All I put is kind of where the direction of the flow from the refrigerator out. We do all kinds of things just to make sure that you have enough. You keep things warm.
Because I've seen brewers, wrap an electric blanket around it, or just a little pad. Yeah.
So for me though, I don't mind the esters intensity of Kveik yeast at high temperature. I kind of like it. I like the citrus, the fruity flavor for that thing. And I'm not a bigger lager and pilsner kind of beer drinker, so. That's not a big thing for me with a little bit of esters.
Yeah, and that's where most of the beer flavor comes from. So I'm hoping we get a good one nailed down. So at least we're using the same yeast. So maybe when we circle back on next month's live stream brew, we can crack open those bottles and see how it comes out.
Okay. So right now, let me go get get my dry hop ready so I can show you folks that how I dry hop the beer that I made on Thursday. I've been fermenting at going at 5 psi and bubbling nicely. In fact, looking at the activity, the bubbling from activity in the thermometer compared with like yesterday, its fermentation is on the way down. Okay. I mean. Yeah, which means that this beer can probably be ready to cold crash in 2 more days. So so that's how the Voss Kveik is pretty aggressive.
It's very aggressive. Yeah, no, go get your dry hop thing. That'll be good. Yes.
Okay.
Gosh, I had something I was going to talk about. What was it? Nope, it's gone. Hopefully we get a good batch with the Kveik. I'm sure we will. I'm sure, Trong's got a good recipe going, and it's an IPA, which is, always good to have on hand. Gosh, there was something I was going to ask. It's completely gone. I can't think of it now.
No.
So we've been doing some brewing with Christy in the Pot-Au-Brew, and we've been doing extract. So now that we have the bag for brewing a bag, Christy, are you ready to do a little all grain? See if you can tackle that.
I think I'm ready.
Yeah?
I think I'm ready for it. It's exciting. I think, as you know, IPAs are my ultimate style.
Yes.
And I feel like I'm excited about this one because I'm going to be transparent. We haven't been very successful with the IPAs. So I'm hoping that this one's going to turn out. So maybe we can, start doing more IPAs.
Yes.
So. Yeah,
the IPAs we've done have been a little unbalanced. They've been a little too hop forward, and I don't know if that's a function of the pressure of fermentation because you're not boiling off or bubbling off as much of the hop oils and the aromas and things.
But that's what IPA is about, like really hop forward type of beer.
With a good malt backbone to balance it. There's got to be that balance, even if it is very hop forward. Oh, that's what I was going to ask you, Christy. Any comments? Anything from the chat?
Not yet.
Nothing yet. Okay. I want to hit that up while we're doing it. Trong, you got your dry hop demo ready, or you need a little more time?
No, I need a little more time. I need to wait out my.
I think for me, it's going to be the Kveik yeast. If this recipe can sell me on the Kveik yeast, every beer that we've ever done with the Kveik yeast, I feel like I haven't really liked it. I don't know what it is. Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know.
Some people don't. Some people actually say that the Kveik kind of a flavor to it. Yeah, I read some.
It's been our experience, but again, we haven't. I think we've done maybe 1 or 2 brews with it, different beers, and weren't super happy with how it turned out compared to traditional yeast. And we have access to fermentation, temperature control, and so it's not as big an issue for us. It's a yeast I want to like though because it's so versatile and there's so much that you can do with it. And it chews through stuff so fast. I mean, you can really bring beers to keg or bottle so quickly with it. It really, even if your mash isn't as good at converting all the starches as a normal, I mean, the Kveik yeast chews through slightly larger sugar chains or starch chains than the regular yeast. So like you said, it's aggressive. Like it will chew through a lot.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna hit mine.
I think our issue is that we've successfully brewed beers before, and then once we added the Kveik element to it, it changed the whole profile of the beer. And I think that we kind of felt like that was the one denominator that kind of changed everything. But again, not saying that it's not a great yeast, but it's just try to dial it in and figure out the right formula for it. So.
Yeah. But I know I swear by it,
Okay, let's take a measurement right now, and then we show. I show people how I demo how I do dry hopping.
Perfect.
Okay.
Turn mine up
I'm
going to measure mine. I'm sure it'll be 1090. I don't think I've ever had a mash this thick before, but it tastes when I did the sample, it's definitely converting. I get a lot of sweetness, a good maltiness to it. So it definitely has a good base so far. I'm excited to see how it finishes out. Let this cool a little bit. You got to be approaching the mid 40s to 50s now.
Yeah, I don't know. I was just
find out shortly. How's our time going here?
Is it super sweet?
It is. It's got really good malt character, that sweet malt character. We got another ballpark half hour on the mash, so we got some time. All right, I'm going to take another sample. Let's see. Trying to make a mess on my table here. Oh, Lord. It's 1090.
You were
Oh, yeah, that could be.
about that.
You know what? Maybe I need to recalibrate this. I'm going to get some distilled water real quick, and I'm going to do a calibration.
We have a video for that on YouTube.
We do have a video on that, which is embarrassing that if it's out of calibration, because I haven't calibrated it in a while, that's embarrassing. I'm going to grab a little bit of distilled water, so I'm going to step away for just a second.
Okay.
All right.
My is 44.5. Yeah, 0.45. So it's moving moving in the right direction. So you just got to just at the beginning of 127, 1027, and then 130 something, and now at 145. So moving good.
That's very good. Yeah, nope.
Yeah.
It's calibrated. It's showing. I got distilled water in there. It's showing 0.
Okay.
I'm gonna take another taste here.
So what could be the cause of that then? Why would it be so high? Like, if it was the same.
Yeah. Out of whack, you know, the thing. Yeah.
Something's out of whack.
Yeah.
Smells really good.
So let's take another measurement after you calibrate it and see what it say.
Well, sadly, it was calibrated. So
it was calibrated.
It was. No, it was right where it should be. So I don't know what's happening. I mean, I must be getting a lot of particulates in the sample, so it's not super clear, and maybe that's throwing off the refraction of the light to measure the sugars, and that's why it's doing what it's doing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to I might do an iodine test at the end of this, make sure we're getting full conversion on the mash.
So right now, Brian, what I'm doing, I'm going to heat up another gallon of water so that I can use it to wash my grain.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to heat it to 170.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. And then to be fun, we're going to measure the washing water just to see how sweet it is. So to see how worthy it is to do this.
No, that's good. That'll be a fun little experiment. See how the rinse water does. See if we're extracting all those sugars. I'm trying to find a white plate so I can do my iodine test here, see how we're converting. I mean, it's definitely tasting sweeter and sweeter, so it's definitely converting. I just got to figure out why my refractometer is so goofy. Let's see. There we go. Iodine. Do a little sample here. I really want to add more water to my mash. It's really, really thick.
That does look really thick.
Yeah.
How much water you have in there?
It was a gallon to start with.
Yeah. It look really thick.
It does look thick, doesn't it?
Maybe you can take the sample outside that bag. You know that I usually lift the bag up. I think, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I lift it up and I take lift it up and I drop it back down and then I lift it up so you can mix it, lift it up and put it back down. Lift the whole bag up.
Lift the whole bag up. All right, we'll do that.
And then drop it back down and then take the sample outside the bag. You know. And then, of course, you may want to rinse that syringe that you eyedropper too, because it may be for sure. Because we use such a small amount of liquid, so anything is affected. Okay, now, yeah, that's good. Now, so now rinse your eyedroppers and take a sample.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll give that a rinse. And then I'll take it outside the bag.
Right. Take it outside the bag. Yeah.
Yep. That is one of the things that I like about brewing, because I've been brewing for a very long time. I think we did a podcast earlier this week, and I was talking to a brewer at Simple Machine Brewing, a local brewer here in Arizona. And I'm like, gosh, I've been brewing for like 17 years. I've been brewing for a long time, but you never stop learning. Like, it's just, there's so many things to go through, and you have to be open for that too, and realize that you may know a lot. There's still more to learn. There's always more to learn.
They always learn. It's never ending because there's so much to learn. So beer brewing is what is it?
1085.
Oh, it's better.
Oh, whoa.
No, so it's like 1040, 1050. I don't know what I've done.
This is time like this, and when you begin, you realize how nice it is to have twins of all the things you have. Yeah. Like you have two retractometer. If something happens, you make the other ones just to make sure. And some of these things are not that expensive, so it's worthy to have it. Like when I go do demo or something, I usually take two of everything, two camera, do this because shit happens,
Yeah. Well, I usually, for when we go out and we're doing our video stuff, or if we're brewing on site, I mean, I do have duplicates of the equipment on my mobile brew stand. Like I've got extra burners, extra gas valves, extra fuses, like all of that is extra. But I don't for my testing equipment. I just have like one of everything.
Okay, so are you ready for me to kind of show how I do dry hopping?
Let's do the dry hop. I'm ready.
Okay, so right now, it's 5 psi and bubbling away. So first thing I want to do is I reduce the pressure slowly because I don't want to have a lot of foam coming up, craftsman coming up the inside. So I reduce this. You can actually see the thermometer like it go crazy, but I can see. I don't see how people can use a spunding valve without something like a thermometer because
you have no idea what it's doing.
Yeah, you have no idea, and then it is essential. When you use one, you can live without it. Yeah, and so you can. I don't know. You see the thing go crazy right now, right? So I'm gonna just get because I want to bring the pressure down slowly. That's why I only ferment it at 5 psi. If I ferment at 15 psi, it takes me forever to release it, and I may have too much foaming inside.
Right.
So that's 5 psi is a nice way to do it. The first phase before dry hopping. So just take time to go down and go down slowly. It's real nice. And the nice thing about the spun that is very precise. You could actually tune it.
Yeah, I do like the markings on the spundit to be able to dial it in, get it close, without needing to see the bubbles or the fact that it's releasing pressure. You can dial it in based on those colored bands, which is really
good. Give it kind of a gauge where you want to set. If you want to start to 5 psi, you turn it to green and you leave it. Of course, you need to check you have to check with the bubbling activity and the pressure gauge, right? So you can see. Yeah. They work hand in hand. Just the gauge alone, you don't know whether you're there or you're past there or how much far away you pass. You can see the gauge and the bubbling activity. You say, I'm way past 5. My gauge says 5, but my bubbling activity go crazy, so that I'm past. So you crank up some more, and then the bubbling stop. And the moment the bubbling start to show up, I'm there now, right? So that is really, really cool.
Going back to the grain or the thickness of it, does anything else affect the gravity? Like, would the crush be an issue or too much grain maybe? I mean, it looks thicker than, it feels like almost too much grain for the amount that's in the
It
pot.
does, yeah. It is pretty thick. I mean, the quality of the crush, if it's too much or too little can impact. The water grain ratio can impact conversion.
Oh yeah, oh definitely, because you see, if you have too much grain, you have too much enzyme, and enzyme will go to work. A lot of them release and go out and go to town, and
And I did. I was just curious, so I did. I don't know if you're familiar with. Are you familiar with the iodine test for the mash?
I read about it. I never do it. I haven't done it. So
I'll do it every once in a while just to make sure. It lets you kind of check mash conversion. So you take a clean sample out, you put it on a kind of a white plate or a dish so you can see through it. You put like a little drop of iodine in it, and if you see
I see the color
purple, then there are still unconverted starches in the mash. So I just did an iodine test. I'm already at full conversion. Like, a little more time isn't going to hurt it. So I'm going to let it run, but I'm getting conversion. So
you get conversion, and you probably get as much as you got, unless you know.
Yeah, I mean, unless I really made a big error and didn't weigh my grains correctly. That's usually Christy's responsibility. So if I weighed it wrong, I'm blaming her.
Okay, so I get my mobility out, but the bubbling will not stop because, of course, the yeast is active live yeast inside. So I put the pressure, the safety valve, so receive doesn't bubble anymore. So that I can open this, because under pressure I cannot open it very easily. See? So now,
sorry, go ahead.
You see that I release the pressure. I open this up. Oh man, a lot of activity. I'm the hops in. We're back down, and then lock it. Of course, that's it. And then you see, as soon as I lock it down, and the bubbling activities you start coming up and then you're gonna go faster and faster, because the pellets hop will hit the wood, and everything is So you see how easy, how fast it is to do. No worry about air getting in, oxygen getting in. So no need to spend a couple $100 about one of those fancy, like hop bung with the butterfly valves and the injection. I think it was crazy. Sometimes I am a scientist. I want to do things right, but I am so frugal. Some of these things are totally unnecessary, and they look really cool.
Well, marketing is a huge impact in the or a factor in the homebrew world.
Another thing that I have my pet peeve is I hate bottom valve. I hate bottom conical with the bottom valves, because to me the best bottom valves is no bottom valves. I tell you why. Because bottom valve takes space. Right? You have a fermenter, you have 5 gallon or 7 gallon, and you have another conical at the bottom. They have the valve, and if you ever use one of the valves, it's a pain in the ass. They get stuck and get sing. Of course, if you do pressure fermentation, you can go up, right? You don't need to go down.
That is true.
And you save a lot of money. You save a lot of cleaning up. You save a lot of. The bottom valve and the conical take a lot of space and take a liquid, so you waste a lot of beer, a lot of things. So in my book, the bottom valve for homebrew, right? So for the homebrew now, if you in a factory is different. You're a microbrewery different. But homebrew, the best bottom valve is no bottom valve.
Well, I agree, especially with pressure fermentation, because you can pressurize push things out. Like
you're gonna go up. Really, so you see it go crazy, right? The bubbling right now starting to go very aggressive. So now I just crank this to yellow, because I'm gonna start let it build up. I don't want to lose all the flavor of my hop. I just drop in aroma that come out. Any kind of gas coming out of here is not only CO2 gas, but aroma, my hop aroma. So I crank it to yellow, and I let it start building up to about 15 psi, and then if it get to 15 psi, it start bubbling again, and I watch the bubbling activity until the bubbling just steady. Like one every second or so, and I know my fermentation is about done. and if I have time, I'm not in a hurry, I'm gonna let it sit for another day or two just to do diacetyl clean and rest and all that. And then I just put it in my refrigerator. I put in my CO2 gas injector to compensate, to maintain the pressure of 15 psi during cold crash. I do that for about a day, and I put it in my tap, and I drink the first pour.
Yeah.
See that? So that how easy that is, right?
Yes, it was very easy. Well, and it helps too. This floating dip tube that is in the Pot-Au-Brew, so you're not grabbing the junk that settles out of the bottom, especially after you crash cool it. So I mean, it's such a well-designed, all-around system.
It is really well. Now you have one of the older one, right? The new version that I have is perfect in many ways, and I tell you the why I'm so happy. Right? So I'm so happy with this, and I have to deal with all the minutiae, all the nuances that help the home brewer have the least problem and the most fun and the best beer possible. Number one, leak. Leak is deadly when you do a fermenter under pressure. So what I do is in your thing, like in the old one, I didn't have any choice but to use O-ring, even the bonded O-ring gaskets, and then bolt to screw it down. All these bolts, all the nipples and the safety relief valves, and we have 3 nipples. We have actually on our thing we have 3 Whirlfloc posts. And then we're in 3, and then number 4 is the pressure relief, the safety valve. So then we have 4 things that have 4 things to leak. So I decided to have the thing welded. And at the beginning, I thought, well, if I weld it, I apply too much heat on the lid, and then the lid may warp, and it just make a good seal. So I figured out a way to do minimum welding with stainless steel, and it works out really well. It doesn't leak. Now I have no more leaks problem, and it doesn't warp, so I still have a very good seal. So that makes things really nice and clean, right? That's number 1 I just did. And number 2, I decided to have a permanent kind of a permanent built-in thermometer, because when we brew beer, knowing the temperature of your beer is very, very important. So I'm gonna have one built-in. Like I have one here that to show you. This is right here. You see? So you got a built-in thermometer, and then it got 2 posts, and then the 2 posts. What I want to make, because the way these things arranged, they have 3 posts, and the 2 on one side and 1 on the other, and of course 1 is with thermometer. So the one on this side by itself is gas, and the one next to the thermometer is liquid. Because of where they are, where the position and their relationship, where they are on the lid, I don't have to worry about which one is gas and which one is liquid. You look at it and you know right away the one single is the gas, the one which right next to the thermometer is liquid. And because of that, I make all of them universal, meaning that there is no liquid or gas. This post is both work for gas, and this post work for liquid. So I only have one. You're right. It's the position, it's the location of the post would decide what you're gonna put on to how it works. Okay, so to simplify the whole process. And number 3, because you know how Whirlfloc posts, they have those poppets with spring, right? And the poppet. And when you take them apart, and you're not careful, the spring gonna fall down, you're gonna lose the spring, or just lose the poppet. And then, if you don't have a spare, you have to hurry around, you're toasted. Your disconnect doesn't work anymore. So what I make is I make these things, I use these things with the poppet valve built into it. It can't fall down. You know that kind? Yeah. The kind of, that means that you never lose, right? The downside with that here, how are you going to clean it, right? So everything is jammed in there, so how do you clean it? So I figure out a way for people an easy way for people to clean, right? So in the old one, you take it apart, you take the spring out, you take the pot around, you rinse everything, you put it back together. But now with this system, the downside is that how you can clean, but I figure out a way for people to clean, right? So the way I do that is I have to bring this to you. I make it really, these are really a subtle thing, but nobody has it and nobody thought about it. It's very, but it's super, super useful. So I make this an adapter. I make it an adapter that with the nipple on top of that you can screw on. That you can screw on the post. Okay, this is okay. You see this, right? This is the pet bottle, right? This is and normally. Yeah, normally you would have like a liquid post, a post on here that you actually use it for carbonation. You can put this thing on like so on, right? You see like that,
right?
Like that. But how are you gonna put the post on here to clean? Because I'm talking about the post with the built-in thing. So I had to make a bottle cap like this one. Right? I don't know if you see that. See? Okay, hold on. I gotta lock it in. This is a real fancy thing. Okay, now I locked it in place, right? You see this? But this have the nipple on top of it. Now I can screw on. Let me get something to remove this to show you how that works. I'll be right back.
Oops, sorry, Trong, I lost
Okay, I walk away from the signal. So here, this is my post. See, let's see, this is my post. I'm back. You hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Nope, you're good.
Okay. Okay, now, so this is my post. I can screw on this thing, right? I can screw it on my nipple, my 1932 nipples, right? So I have to put a custom. I need a little seal on the custom thing on this. This is just like a nipple, so you can screw this thing on, right?
Right.
So now you have this thing connected, and then if you want to clean this, and you probably want to clean your disconnect, you snapped on the disconnect, you turn it upside down, right?
Right.
Now you turn it upside down, you squeeze it. This is full of star sand. You squeeze it upside down. The star sand will flow and clean out your poppet, your built-in poppet valve, and your disconnect.
That's
and
great.
You're done. You see what I'm?
Sanitize it too. Like flush everything out.
Right. You flush everything out, and you're done. And then you take the thing out like this, and you should put back on your fermenter, right? On your pot. So nobody has this sort of thing, because the only thing the people have is this guy, but this guy only works for disconnect. This one doesn't work for the post on it already. This one have the nipple.
Right.
You see, this is so that work for that thing. You see, it's really cool.
That's very cool. All right,
you know,
I think we're getting close to the end of the mash here.
Okay, I need to come back on the there are more to go with this crazy little thing.
I think we get the pot out and do that, and while we're mashing out with the brewing bag, we can talk more about it.
Yeah. Okay. I need to measure my thing and see where it is right now. So.
All right. So your technique with this is you get a second pot.
Yeah.
And you put, was it a gallon of water?
Yeah, about a gallon of water. So to rinse the rinse water.
Yeah, and that's at 170.
Yeah, there's usually ones just to rinse it, just warming up to.
There we go. All right.
So your mash, the gravity pretty steady, 190. So
I think it hit 200 miles an hour. I mean, it just keeps going. So yeah. So I'm gonna once we get it rinsed and diluted down, I'll do a pre-boil gravity and see if it's my refractometer's malfunctioning or if it's just me.
Or just to see what your washing water is.
Yeah.
If you're washing water, just.
All right, so you walk me through the steps here, Trong, because again, I haven't done the brew in the bag. We got our second pot of water. So what are we doing?
Okay, let me read up this thing. See what my. See, mine is right now only 152.
1052. Okay.
Oh, yes. Yeah, 1052. So mine probably needs some more thing. How much time? Yeah. Yeah, well, I need to measure again. Make sure it doesn't rise up. That. But 152. That's pretty close, huh? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me check too and see while you're doing that.
How long have we been? How?
It's about an hour right now.
Actually, 1 hour since we dropped the batch. Okay.
So
Yes.
I'm just looking to see. We're looking at a pre-boil gravity of 1048.
Mm.
So, and you said you're at 1055. So diluting
Yeah.
down.
52. I'm 52. Yeah.
52. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you might be a little low. Post-boil 1056. We're shooting for. Okay.
I think it's weird because recently we've been having issues with
The other direction.
yeah. very drastic, and it's actually kind of.
I have a sneaking suspicion I misweighed the grain this morning in my prep for the live and everything. I may have put more grain in there than anticipated, so this could be a big IPA.
Yeah,
Trump.
well, but no, it looked very thick.
I know, and that big mash,
Look-
oh my gosh, that seems awfully thick. We got conversion, so it wasn't too thick, but as far as stopping the mash, but yeah, it's
going to be
Well,
an imperial IPA.
this will be an 18% IPA.
It's an imperial style.
We're gonna have a starting gravity of 1020 or 1120. That Kveik's gonna be super happy.
Oh God.
It's just gonna go nuts. All right, are you? Because I'm a little delayed with what I can see of what you're doing, Trong. Are you?
Yeah.
Taking
I'm 55. I just measured another one again, so I'm 55.
1055.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, 1055.
Are you
so
happy?
then, yeah, I'm happy with it. I can wash it now. I mean, it's
Okay.
close enough. And I wash it, of course, I'm going to get some more.
Now, here's the age-old question, Trong. Do you squeeze your grain bag?
Yes, I do.
Yes, you
I do. Yeah, I do because I'm cheap. I just want to get on the stuff out. Yeah.
It's interesting because there's two very decisive camps on the
Yeah.
do you squeeze it or do you not? And the old school traditional thought is you squeeze the grain bag, you're going to extract tannins from the husk of the grain, and that will lend itself into the beer.
Yeah, but they're always opposing views. So
yeah. So we did an experiment on it to see, is that true? Like, people talk about it. There are those that'll squeeze and say, I had no problem. But some people don't have good taste buds. And others are just like, no, you should never do that. So we did an experiment. We did it was a pale ale grain bill. And then, sorry, I'm going to pause here. So I just dunked this in the second pot, right?
Right. You see, I lip it up and I let it drain a little bit as much as I can. I squeeze it slightly.
Okay.
And then I drop it into the other pot.
Okay.
right? So I kind of lift it up, and to train it down, I'm probably gonna stir it up a little bit to make sure that, just to make sure I got enough thing.
Giant grain sack
Your
here.
ginormous green
I feel like
bag.
I'm a bride in a wedding, and this is like my veil. I'm like, oh, it's in my face. Yeah, there we go. All right, so while I'm doing that, so we did an experiment. So we had a pale ale grain bill that we did. We crushed it. We steeped it for, I think it was like 30 minutes. We didn't necessarily want like full conversion, but and then we squeezed the grain bag, and then we we didn't squeeze the grain bag, and we did a blind test with that. And then we did a porter recipe, so a lot of dark grains and things. Did the same thing. Part of it was unsqueezed. The other one was we really squeezed it. It was fascinating because when we did it, and I've always been of the camp, you don't squeeze the grain bag, but I've never tested it. So when we finally did the triangle test, the blind test of it, when we did the pale ale, we couldn't tell the difference between the squeezed and the unsqueezed. There was no difference that we could determine whatsoever.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was debunked. I'm like, well, obviously I've been wrong. This is interesting. Like, that's a good thing. Like, I'm learning. Well, then we did the porter, the dark beer, and every single sample, every single person that tasted it could tell immediately was astringent, the squeeze bag. It was
in the porter.
So I surmised that it is dependent on the
type of
grain that you're using. If you have darker killed grains, there's a higher percentage.
Yeah, I said that makes sense.
Can be extracted. So if you're doing a lighter beer, you don't have the chocolate malts, the roasty brown malts, all of that. If you don't have that, squeeze it. Get all of that.
That makes very good sense.
Don't squeeze it, because it was offensive. It was so bad. It was immediate tannic, just blah. So we're going to do a follow-up because we were just tasting the wort, unfermented. We didn't make a beer out of it. So our next thing, we're going to do the same experiment, but we're going to ferment it out all the way and see if through fermentation, if the yeast convert that flavor, or if that changes the flavor to the point where you really can't taste anything in the finished beer. So we're kind of excited to do that here, hopefully relatively soon.
Yeah, okay. That would be a good thing to know.
Yeah. Okay, so I did my rinse in the pot, and I put it back in the main mash pot.
No, measure the thing just for fun. You see how measure.
That's going to be at 1070,000.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to see, just for fun, we see what it's worthy of doing.
We got.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a lot cleaner than the other samples I was getting. All right, let's see what we've got here. My rinse water's at 1023.
Yeah, you see, so if your thing, let's see what my thing is. Yours kind of like up the chart, so we don't trust it so much, right? So
no, I don't trust it at all.
Okay, so we'll see what my thing now. I need to find out what I did put with my.
I mean, if it is me, and I don't think I'm reading it wrong, but if Easy Dens, the maker of that digital refractometer, is listening, send me one. I'll review it, and then I won't have these errors on my brew days.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we need to review this and see if it actually makes a difference.
Oh, they'd have to send us one. We're not budgeted for that.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God. But I see a lot of brewers have them, so. All right.
Okay, let me see.
How does it smell?
Well, the rinse smells weak, the rinse pot. But again, it's a low sugar content with the, what did I say, 1020, 1023, 5 something. So it's definitely.
My 1015.
1015. Okay, so we're pretty
15.
Close.
Yeah, 15. So it's worthy of rinsing, right? I mean, you cannot. So what do we do now? Is when with the heated up the thing. Actually, while we're doing that, we could have been start boiling the pot, right?
Yep, I'm going to turn up that burner. I need to take the grain. I put it back in the first pot. I'm not sure if I was supposed to do that.
Oh no, you're not supposed to. Then you're going to pick up more sugar.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I say,
I'll rinse again.
Yeah,
I'm
you
going to
had
squeeze
to.
it this time. I didn't squeeze it the first time,
Yeah.
which could account for why my rinse was so. My rinse pot had such a high gravity. Ooh, it's hot. I should have grabbed my gloves. I have gloves specific for this. All right, I'm going to go back to rinse. Here we go. There we go. And then once we're done with the rinse, we're just going to add this rinse water into our main boil pot and bring it to boil, right?
Yeah, bring it to boil.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, and we actually should stop boiling that even right after we, so save time. We could have done that.
I'm cranking it up.
Yeah.
Ooh, I should have got my gloves.
Do you want me to? Do you want
Can
me to
you-
grab
Yeah.
your gloves?
Can you see them?
Where they're
Yeah.
behind your
There
screen,
should be
right?
on the
Yeah,
control panel of my big system.
I got you.
Although if I twist the bag, that does a pretty good job. You know.
Yeah, it's you twist the back. That's usually the best to squeeze it. Yeah.
Do you want these anymore?
Yes.
Oh shoot!
It's all right.
I
It's
think
just
it's
it's the bug
flies.
zapper. It's
Okay.
fine. Thank you.
Oh, do you want me to take this off?
Take that off. Thank you. Yeah, I had to actually buy myself some waterproof insulated gloves because I had a tendency to drop stuff in my boil pot. So I had to be able to reach in and grab stuff out.
I see.
There we
Okay,
go.
So now I'm gonna take out a sample of the mix together and see what
See what your pre-boil gravity is.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. All right, let's add this to our main boil without spilling it everywhere. And that should give us a little less than 2 gallons, right?
Yeah. Actually, I think I may have should redo the calculation of the thing because I have a lot of liquid. I have a lot of.
Think of about 2
wood.
gallons. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so
All right. So that we've got. And now I'm going to stir it, and then I will take a reading, and we'll see. There I go. Rinse my spoon here real quick. It's got some grain bits on it. I don't want that in my boil kettle. Now, Trong, the boil, if I'm reading your directions correctly,
yes.
you said is a 30-minute, right?
Right. I did 30 minutes because we only have 5. We only have 5 liters supposedly, and I think that we may have boiled a little longer because I have more liquid than I should have. Yeah.
That's right. You have more liquid. I have more gravity. So
Yeah. Yes. So,
all right, we'll give this a
This is
stir.
going to be a very strong IPA, I feel.
You know what? I'm not opposed to that. Like I don't
I'm
mind
here
the big
for
beer.
it.
Don't mean the big beer. There we go.
Wow, that looks cloudy.
It is very cloudy. See, and we're used to doing with our big system, we
Yes.
recirculate through the grain bed so it sets and it acts as a filter. And so usually our runoff in the kettle is extremely clear.
So I think that my gravity now is only 135 because I have too much liquid.
Too much liquid.
Too much liquid in my rinse water.
Okay, I'm looking at 1045.
Yeah, so I'm gonna need to boil it down a bit more.
A bit more.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's all good because I haven't brewed this in like this recipe in several years.
Several years.
So I have to be more careful next time when I put too much rinse water. Should be I say in 1 gallon here. Should be maybe less. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're getting there. I'm going to do a quick taste here. Let's see how it tastes. There we go. That grain bag did a good job. There's no grain husk or anything. It's just a little turbid, a little cloudy, but that'll be fine.
It was the biggest grain bag I've ever seen in my life. So
I have no response. Oh, that's a good base grain bill that you've got.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, there's a good amount of sweetness. It's very malty. It's got a really good mouthfeel to it. It's very rich. And that's really going into the boil. If you've got like those marks are hit, those boxes are checked, like, oh, that's going to be good. That's going to be a good beer.
Yeah.
So we haven't had that experience. I mean, I think we've talked about in our videos, we've been trying to figure out like what's changed, but I think we've been missing that mark where we're like, you can taste it initially and be like, okay, this is exactly where we're supposed to be. Everything's been weak lately, but I'm glad to hear that this is like, you can taste the sugars.
It's definitely, no, it's a very rich, but again, it looked like a thick mash.
Yeah, you have a lot of grain.
Shoot high, so maybe I put too much grain in there, and that's why it's, it's over the top, but that's fine. We'll roll with it. I mean, because that's part of brewing too, is it's very, very rare, if ever, that you get a perfect brew day where everything lines up exactly as you want it, because you're dealing with an organic product. Every batch is different. Your measurements could be off. The hop that you're getting may not be as bitter as the previous, or even though they put the alpha acids on there. I mean, there's so many factors that go into it. So you're constantly having to adjust throughout the brew day to compensate for all of these things. So maybe I put too much grain in it because it's definitely reading much higher than what I get in my big system. That's interesting. So we'll roll with it. It'll still make a good beer, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, it will.
It's good base so far.
I mean, it just could be a very strong beer. Yeah.
Well, I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah. But I think I might have a little problem right now is I have too much liquid. I need to boil it down. Otherwise, I have a weak beer. You know, I have.
Let's talk about that. So, what's your volume at? Are you over 2 gallons?
No, right now I'm probably 2 gallons.
You're at 2, and so am I.
Yeah.
We want to get down to 1.5 gallons, right?
Yeah. I mean, this recipe was designed for 5 liters. For this is a 5 liter recipes ultimately. So I'm way too high. And
so where should we finish? Where should we be at? Do you think post mash in the boil kettle?
In a boil, you probably want to be in 5 liter. You probably be around close to 6 liter. So 6
liters. So we're a liter high.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're supposed to be post mash 1048. I hit 1045. I think I said.
Yeah. So it's okay. I mean, you can have the more liquid as long as you have the. Doesn't matter as long as your fermenter can handle it. Like my fermenter, I just boil it down a little bit just to make sure that I have. Or I just throw in some sugar in it, and then I have more beer.
That's true.
I get. So it's no harm done. I can have more beer, and my thing is designed to handle can handle 10 liter. So this is designed to brew. Actually, is the 7.5 liter. So that's 2 gallons. So I'm really good. That's why the Pot-Au-Brew is so nice. They give you some flexibility. Your Pot-Au-Brew is only 8 quarts, and this is like 10 liter, which is more than 10 quarts. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm gonna have to. I gotta get my. Let me. While we're speaking of that, because I'm close to brimming, I'm gonna need to get my anti-foam. Because as that comes to a boil, I do not want it to overflow. So we'll put a couple of. As it gets close, I'll put some defoamer in there.
I never use defoamer. I never use the defoamer for some reason.
No?
I never have. Yeah.
I was back before I got relocated to the garage to brew. I used to brew on the kitchen stovetop, and I was doing a Belgian triple one time.
Oh my gosh, I can see that.
And I had a boil over, added the candy sugar, and it boiled over. We had a new glass top stove.
Oh my!
Entire glass top over the sides, behind it. It was and that stuff, when it cooled, it was you had to basically chisel off the glass. I mean, it was brutal. So at that point, I'm like, I need a solution, and that's when I discovered defoamer, and I've been using it ever since. And that was 10 years ago that happened. So
I think I probably would recommend it to my. With that, I better recommend to my customer, my Pot-Au-Brew buyers, you better use defoamer if you want to stay.
It really helps. It really makes a difference. Yeah.
And it doesn't affect the beer at all, huh?
No, not at all. No, it's the same. It's oh gosh, what is it called? Dimethicone. It's basically the same thing they put in baby, like gas drops or anti-gas drops that you give infants. It's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. So it's enough to break the surface tension of the water.
Yeah, I see.
So that it doesn't. So when it starts to foam, it doesn't continue to build. Then it breaks it, and then it stabilizes, and then you're good to go.
So you know we don't have to processing hops. We don't need to have it to a boil. Basically, you boil it so that you can boil dimethyl sulfate out of the grain.
The DMS, right?
Yeah.
What's interesting,
DMS.
DMS. So it's interesting. Because I've been doing, and I want to talk to you about the hops and the boiling of it, because that's something I've been doing a lot of research on. So there's a brewing technique called raw ale. I don't know if you're familiar with this, or you've heard of it. Basically, you do your mash, and you actually end up hopping the mash, and then when it's done, you chill it and ferment it. You do not go to a boil.
Oh, really? I never.
Interesting. In that you're not boiling, and so DMS would be, I would think, a concern. Well, actually, no, because you're not. I think the formation of DMS actually occurs during the ramp up of the boil. I think it's created at like 180 degrees. When that compound is actually chemically created, and so that's why you boil. If you're using pills and malts, you need a 90-minute boil to boil off those volatiles.
Wow!
If you never hit the 180, no DMS is ever created, or at least if it is, it's at such a point the threshold is not detectable by human taste buds, and so you don't have to worry about that.
So that will be really sweet. That will shorten the boil time. Yeah, except for sometimes you boil the wood so that you can build character. Caramelization and all that other thing. Yeah,
the Maillard reactions. Yes, especially if you're doing like a red ale or a Scottish something. Those reactions are very, very important. Absolutely. And so looking at the raw ale and the fact that they do, the mash and they put the hops in there, a lot of the hop bitterness comes from that boil, because you're isomerizing the alpha acids during that 60-minute boil. And the longer you boil, the more that bitterness comes out. And it changes the flavor, which is why dry hopping lends a different flavor. It doesn't necessarily add bitterness. It adds more of the aroma. It doesn't change the chemical structure of the hop oils. And I've been very curious, because you and I have talked about this a little bit, where you did a hop tea, right? You boiled hops in water for 10 minutes.
No, I correct. I didn't use water. I used actually the wood. Yeah.
You did use wood. Okay. Because I was doing research and looking at that. I was looking at that. They said that, boiling it in plain water is not the same.
Right. Because it doesn't, meanwhile, if you have too much sugar, it doesn't isomerize as easily. Yeah,
there's an interaction between the hop alpha acid and the sugars that are present in the wort that enables the isomerization to occur. And so if you don't have sugar in your wort or in your water, the isomerization, I don't know if it doesn't happen at all or if it's just not as efficient, but it changes the hop flavor. And when we're talking about a beer such as this one, where it's an IPA, but it has that fruit character with the hops that you've chosen, the Citra, the Mosaic, I mean, it's orange, citrus, mango, like all those wonderful flavors. I really wonder, if you don't boil it, can you extract those flavors out? Or does it just become a green bittering? I don't know. I haven't done an experiment on that. I'm sure others have. I need to do more research. But it's really interesting. Like, so if we're doing a no boil, a raw ale, can you still get those fruit flavors out somehow? And I don't know the answer. I wanted to ask you with what you said with your boil, that you did use wort. So you had sugars present, and did you just boil it for 10 minutes? Was it a concentrated?
No, it's very light. I just wanted to be sure that I didn't want to use water, just pure water, because I don't know the chemical reaction is the conversion of the alpha acid in water. So just to hedge my bet, I just make sure that there was the sugar in it. And I use the wort I'm going to use in the brew, so I just use that to heat it up to make the tea with. So
right.
But I think in the early days when I make beer from my family, we are Asians, and they're not really keen to bitter beer, like the IPA. So I make sure that I don't want to. If you want to make beer that people drink and love, just don't make it too bitter. Right. So around
if it's a seasoned craft beer connoisseur, they can handle the hops. They love the bitterness, but for the uninitiated, it's offensive sometimes. It's too much.
Too, for most people, especially like the Hispanic community, a lot of them just don't like bitter. They're so used to lagers and modelos and those
the Mexican style lager, which is based on a German style, which is very clean, malty but clean, very little hop presence.
Yes.
So I totally get that.
I have a question though, really quick, Trong. For Vietnamese beer, is there a Vietnamese brand of beer that your family?
No, we have growing up. We have a beer called Beer 33, very popular in Vietnam back in my day. But now, those beer are for the younger generation in Vietnam, Vietnamese young kids. They don't drink that beer anymore. A lot of them now are really turned on by American IPA. It's like we have so much influence culture-wise around the world, so people kind of emulate the U.S. and of course in Asia, like Thailand and Singapore and Vietnam, they do a lot of crazy beer because they throw a lot of fruits, tropical fruit in the beer, and that becomes really popular. Over there because they love those kind of fruit like the jackfruit and the durian and all those crazy things.
There's a lot of good Asian beers growing up. Qingdao, and then for Japanese beers, there's a ton of great lagers, and then
Sapporo's a Japanese beer too.
Sapporo, and then there's also like a lot of Korean beers like Cass. So I'm just curious, like I feel like each Asian country has their own kind of flagship beer. So.
No, they do, but they're all in the same vein of those Qingdao and the Singhai and the Japanese kind of beer. To me, or to the younger generation, they're kind of lame. Because we're so used to the flavors, But except for one beer, that I think it really Heineken Lager is really a good beer. It's a catch-all kind of thing. It go well with any kind of food, and this is the most popular beer around the world. People drink Heineken Lager all over, and.
Staple. We drink that all the time.
Well, it's mostly because the neighbor next door likes Heineken, so we keep that stocked in our fridge for them. But it's a good. If you don't mind that kind of skunky kind of beer, like a Grolsch or a Heineken.
No. If you ever have the Heineken not in the bottle, they're delicious. They taste so different.
Yes.
You never buy the Heineken, either you buy it in the can or you buy it in the 5-liter keg.
I buy it in the bottle, the green bottles. The full skunk experience.
It's so delicious. Any beer in a bottle, especially imported, you're gonna say skunky because of the light.
Yes.
I'm not a big fan, but I have Heineken Lager in a 5-liter cans. all the time, because my family, the in-laws, they all love that stuff.
Yeah.
You seen that big can, that big 5-liter can?
I don't think I have. No.
Oh, it's amazing technology.
I'm sorry.
Like
the
the mini-
5-liter, like the mini keg.
Yeah, at the mini cake, but it tastes the same from beginning to the end.
I tried to get my hands on one of those. They don't have them.
Oh man,
I've checked more beer. They don't carry those. I'm so disappointed.
you know why they're so good? Because they have their own CO2 generator regulator inside.
Yeah.
So the beer tastes perfect at 15 psi from beginning to the end. So the beer tastes exactly the same from the first pour to the last drop. And it's amazing technology.
I was looking a couple weeks ago actually to get one of those mini kegs because I thought it'd be great to tap that and kind of taste it, because I've only gotten the Heineken in the glass bottles, and it's always skunked, and I don't mind that. I'm kind of like, yeah.
Ironically, isn't that the one that fits in the Igulu?
Yes. Yes, it is.
No, the Heineken 5-liter keg, they are really good beer if you don't drink it from the bottle, and you get from the 5-liter keg. And you know what? I turned on, but first of all, like a couple of years ago, I went and saw a big 5-liter cake, beautiful looking cake, right? So I said, man, they say it's so good. I mean, this is bullshit because I'm gonna taste flat half of the cake, right? But then when I drink a thing, I say, man, that's like perfectly carbonated. So I break one apart.
I was be disappointed if you didn't.
Yeah, and then I found out there's a canister in there.
Yeah.
I go and bring and show you. That is amazing. I try to replicate that technology.
So it's interesting when we talk about kind of the skunking of the beers, the Grolsch, the Heinekens, and the glass bottles, and that kind of skunks. But when you look at other beers like a Newcastle or even a Corona, they don't skunk, and they're in clear bottles. No.
You
hear me, sir?
No. Each one of these, each one of them have this cake in there. You see this? This the CO2 source inside of each one of those.
So that's what's in there.
Yeah, at the CO2, and it has a regulator, meaning it stays the same at 15 psi.
Does it have one or two? Like, did you take apart two kegs?
No. It's just one. Each one of these. I just have I'm so fascinated. I took them down to want to study what the heck's in there. So okay, so now we have to stop hop processing, right?
Yep. I'm just at 200. Where are you at? Are you about to boil?
I'm boiling like crazy right now. Yeah.
You got a good burner on your stove. I'm almost there. Starting to foam a little bit. So, but it's. Are you going to start doing your hops now?
Yeah. I'm going to stop.
Or you want to let it boil a little bit, let it boil down before you add the hops.
Yeah. I can do some boil some more because I need to.
That might be perfect because by the time I get to boil, which could be another 10 minutes, you might have boiled just enough to bring you down where you need to be.
Right. So anyways, you go back to this Heineken. I mean, so I bought this thing, right? So I just kind of in love with the can because it looks so beautiful. One of the little mini 5-liter can. So I bought it and I found out that it tastes so good. And I have to admit, I've been like a big fan of it. I probably have bought like 20 or 30 of those cans. So
do you don't drink it out of the bottle then at all?
No, I don't drink it. So what happened then? Each of those guys come with a cheapy tap. Like you put on that, they give you a free tap on top of that. You pop on it and you pour, and it leaks like crazy. So it leaks and it drips like crazy. So I say, well, I'm gonna improve it. So I make myself my picnic tap adapted to work on those guys. I make a picnic tap for Heineken cake, right?
And then store, yes.
And then I put it on eBay just for fun. I've been selling over 100 of those things. The picnic tap for Heineken cake, because the damn thing here, if you want to use it from the cake, you have to drink it from a cheapy little free tap, or you put it in a kegerator. They make a kegerator called a beer tender kegerator. It's really a nice looking unit. It worked really well, but you, in order to use that Heineken 5-liter keg, you have to use the really expensive beer tube, and each of those beer tubes cost you $5. You have to connect it to the keg, and you strap it into your kegerator so you can use that. So I said, well, that's too expensive. So what I did was and you can only use it once. Once you stick that thing on the keg, you cannot take it out. So here's the problem. If something ever wrong with your tap, your whole keg, you toast it because you cannot stop it, right? So what I did was I make an adapter for one of those tubes. Instead of use one time, you can use it 8 times. so you can use one tube for 8 times. So I made it, and I sell it on eBay and Amazon. I say, okay, if you buy this thing, like you're instead of using that, and I sell a whole bunch of them. You know,
you see a need and you fill a need, like just that's just amazing.
It's really cool. So I just do it for fun. I mean, and then just to help people. And the amazing thing is, I sell a lot of that to Florida for some reason. Like every day I will ship some to Florida, and somehow the people in Florida love Heineken Lager 5-liter keg, because 80% of what I sold on eBay go to or Amazon go to.
Why do you think that is? Why
I don't know. Maybe because a lot of Hispanic people love the thing, and I see the Hispanic names, and I do that, and it's so much fun. But what I really fascinated is really the technology that Heineken will come up with that. So then I said, what happened if I can use that technology for olive oil? But then I can can olive oil, and I can use the olive oil to push olive oil out. I have perfect olive oil from beginning to the end. It's really convenient. And then when the olive oil can done, I throw it away. But I need, in order to do that, I need my little tap, because my tap doesn't drip, right? So if you use any other tap, it's just terrible, because all tap drips except for my tap. Yeah,
we're still waiting on that, because I know that you were working on that, and that just seems like really cool.
I went to an oil convention conference at UC Davis, with the University of California, Davis, and they had a world-renowned olive center. I mean, we are in California. We're known for growing a lot of olives, right? So they have, besides having the wine, the very renowned viticulture and enology department, they have a very good olive oil department. They have like olive grow. They actually grow and research olives, and the student make olive oil and they sell it on campus. So last week there was a conference on olive oil flavor, how the judging olive oil have compared with tropical fruits. So I went there, and of course I took my little thing with me. I said that I took my little Oliver. That's what I call, right? So I sat in front and I put the thing and said, man, I bring it here because you guys are the expert, and I have been using it for a year. I actually use CO2 gas to pressurize it and to push the olive oil out. And to me, it tastes wonderful from beginning to the end. The CO2 gas doesn't affect the quality of olive oil at all. In fact, in my opinion, it makes the olive oil taste better.
Right.
So I told them that. They said, no, you're not supposed to order these olive oil experts. I said, you're not supposed to use CO2 gas, because CO2 gas with olive oil. I said, well, CO2 gas does get in olive oil at about 1% per volume, but it pressure dependent. And there was a paper by this professor in Greece that come out in 2023 that actually did a research to find out how to use CO2 gas to shorten the debittering process of olives, and also make olive oil from it. And he found that that doesn't have any bad flavors at all. In fact, the CO2 gas give the olive oil more better polyphenols chemical profile, which is more resemblant to extra virgin olive oil. So I actually make a copy of the paper I give to them. I say, now you better read this article because it just come out, this research paper just come out in 2023, like just last year. And they took it, and each of them say, now can we get one of the olive oil? So I'm not the oliver, so I'm not supposed to deliver 2 olive oil, one for the director of Olive Center and one to the head lab of them. So they want to try that. So anyway, I told you guys, go buy a cheapie. You know, you can get on Facebook Market one of these UK 64 ounce, half a gallon UK.
Yeah. Now those are, I mean, new. Those are pretty expensive. What are you seeing on eBay, people selling them for?
Oh, I buy them all over the country for about $50-$60.
Oh, that's great.
And then if you buy one of those things, you send me the little tap, and I make because you cannot use their tap because their tap trip like crazy.
Yes, it does.
So then I use my tap so that you can either use the tap that this is just use my little. This is just to use my little picnic tap, right? Or I actually modified it to use their tap and I have like a whole bunch of people who waiting to have that right now in my neighbor, and everybody in my neighbor want to have one of those things. I went to a fundraiser a couple of weeks ago, and I donate one of those things for a fundraiser for Leukemia Society, and I sold that thing for $300.
Wow.
To donate for the silent auction.
Yeah. Well, and the way you describe it, how it preserves the olive oil and it's good and keeps from being destructive and the antioxidants. It's so amazing. Unbeatable. Especially if you can get it. You know, you can get it for like $50-$60, and that nobody has it. The whole freaking world doesn't have it. I'm the only one that have that thing. Yeah. All right, how's your boil doing? Mine is just about to start to come to a boil. I'm taking a quick gravity reading, but I'm cooling it off.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start doing our hop additions if you feel like.
Yeah. I'm doing hop addition right now. I'm just make sure that I can.
Are you doing your hops now?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay. I panicked. I was like, oh, I got to start the timer. Tron, what are you?
No, I'm actually trying to mount my thing on.
There, now that it's just started boiling, I let it cool. And we are at 10:53. 10:53.
Okay, so the first thing we go into the first hop is Nugget, right? So get
the Nugget, the 7 grams or 0.25 ounces.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be. Oh, I'm high for sure. As far as the gravity goes, boil gravity 1048. I'm at, according to this, 10. What did I say? 1054. 53, 52.
Yeah.
Better. Okay, you started. Have you start your timer yet?
Not yet. Are you ready to add the hops?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. It in. Okay.
Nick
in.
Did that wrong. Trong, I did it wrong.
What?
I meant to put my hop spider in there.
Huh?
Yeah. I meant to put spider in. It's too late now.
Yeah.
I'll do it for the other hop additions.
Yeah, do the other one.
Yeah. It'll just be, I mean, it's such a small amount. It'll be.
It won't affect the thing.
A giant hop spider.
That's like about the same size as your grain bag, so it's like to scale.
Yeah. Well, we'll stick that in. That killed the boil, actually. Yeah, that's good. We'll just keep that on high. And I didn't need to. It was actually kind of nice. I didn't need to use my defoamer this time. The induction burner I'm using, it brought it to such a gentle boil.
Oh, okay.
Eased into it, so it was good. Still a little sample left. I'm going to taste it.
Okay, you keep the time. Tell me when I the next one, right?
You got it. We got 15 minutes. a little less for the next hop edition, and we're going to be doing the Citra in Mosaic in 15 minutes.
I'll set a timer.
Thank you, Christy, our timer keeper, but not our grain weigher for today. I think I put too much grain in there. I'm betting that's what it is.
I'd honestly rather have too much grain, just because.
Well, in our history with this particular batch of grain, this sack of grain, is we've underhit gravity like every single batch.
I'd rather have it not be weak and have that flavor.
Yeah. So interestingly, we had the opportunity to get into one of our local breweries here in Arizona, Simple Machine Brewing Company. We did a podcast with them earlier this week. Marshall is the name of the head brewer there. It's such a nice guy, like genuine, and definitely like honest. We got some good stuff out of him. Let me just say that. Like there was some really good vulnerable moments with him that was so awesome. Anyways, but one of the things that he was talking about is, you know, and this was something that was passed on to him from another head brewer that he was learning under and he was being mentored by. And they said, you know, anybody can brew beer.
Yeah.
It's difficult. Anybody can brew beer. But a good brewer can take a beer that has mistakes.
Yeah.
So the brew doesn't go quite right. They know how to compensate. The hop schedule didn't go right well. The fermentation was poor. The da-da-da-da-da, you name it. A good brewer knows how to fix their mistakes because that happens.
Yeah,
and I think that's so true. So true.
And that happened to just about anything. Cooking too. You know, when you must be able to fix things.
Yes, my dad is he does woodworking as a hobby, and he does some wood carving, and he's really, really good. Like the stuff that he builds and designs, he's very analytical, but he's able to harness his more creative side with the woodworking. And he kind of has the same philosophy. Like, you know, woodworkers, a good woodworker can fix their mistakes. And will come out.
Now, Brian, while we this, I wanted curious to ask you. Now, you and Christy spend a lot of time, you know, putting on the channel. What are you planning? What is your ultimate goal? What you
the
plan
ultimate
to
goal?
do? Yeah, because this is you got a day. Both of you guys have day jobs, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
okay.
So we do our 70 hours a week at the day job, and then we do this kind of off hours and on the weekends and things. So you know, this is something that we are working towards doing full time, educating people, sharing. It's something that I think is really interesting because I've been brewing beer, like I said, for a very long time, and I'm fascinated with the process. And a lot like you, Trong, I love the science of it and building of things. So I've learned how to weld, making my brew stand. I learned how to program PID controllers because of the brew stand. Like I'm fascinated by that. And so taking the brewing aspect of it, which I enjoy, and I love the troubleshooting and I love the science behind it. And now when you run a YouTube channel, there's a whole other aspect of it because you have video production, there's cameras, there's lighting, there's sound, and now we're streaming. Like this, all of this has been a learning.
I see.
And it's been so much fun to figure out and build and make our own stuff because we don't have a huge budget for production. I mean, we're having streaming issues today. I'm all blurry and pixelated, and like your stuff is looking great. So that's something else. I'm like, I got to figure that out after the stream. But doing this as a production company is something that I think we would both love to do full time, to be able to share and help others that are learning how to brew. And I think that's kind of the eventual goal with what we're trying to do is tell the stories of the brewers, tell the stories of people that are creating things like you are, that are helping to perpetuate the hobby and to share beer. And beer is a social beverage, right? I mean,
right.
You have it with your friends. You go out and you have a pint, and you go to your pub, your local public house, and it's a social beverage. And so bringing that community together is something I think we've always really wanted to do, and getting to meet really neat people and talk to them like you. I mean, we met, was it a year and a half ago or so? And I heard you on somebody else's podcast, and I'm like, this guy's passion is like amazing. And the excitement it gets, and it resonated with me because I'm the same way. I get obsessed about something and I get passionate about something, and it resonated. And so I reached out, and you were kind enough to eventually email back. Our spam filter is not great, but you've been on the podcast with us, and now this is our second brew day, and we've gone back and forth with things. And I think being able to meet people,
fun, right? You learn new things all the time. You learn, that sort of thing. So I applaud you and Christy for your efforts and your mission, and I think that I can contribute to that in the fact that I can facilitate the people to brew beer, to brew beer with the innovation and the stuff that I come up with. Yeah. And I know that people will love it because it's so easy to do, so fun to do, and the quality of beer come out is just excellent. And excellent because we deal with some of the key component of the factors that make beer good. Is sanitation, give also beer trouble, sanitation, temperature, pressure, oxygen, and light. Those 5 components are very important. The scientific aspect of it, and then on top of that you have the art, how to add flavors and malt and hops and yeast and other things, and other adjuncts such as fruits and other things. So it's when you deal with the fundamental down, like brewing with the Pot-Au-Brew is so easy that anybody can do it. And more people, because so easy, so manageable, and you do it right in your kitchen, and you do it like enough volume that people will do more frequently. Yeah. And because the process is not as simple as gardening. It have a little learning curve to it, and but with the technology, with what we're doing, imagine we can do this. Maybe with similar recipes, most of the time, like an extract or simple recipe we can do like in an hour time. We can do that for people from around the world. People can get together and brew along. I can be here, you can be in Arizona, and somebody can be in Bangkok and Berlin or New York or Brooklyn, and brew together. And then people can ask questions, interact, because they're questioning, sharing that virtual kind of interaction. I think people will be very interested in that.
I think so, and I think as we continue to do this, and I think we should continue to live stream like we've been. This is our second stream. We're still working out the kinks. We're still working out the bugs, but we have so much fun doing this, and I think a lot of people would benefit from. Brewing along with us, brew along with Trong. That's why I call it that.
You're gonna be brewing anyway. You're gonna spend the time. So why don't you do alone? Why you do with other people? Especially if you can do in your kitchen, where you don't have to do in the driveway and in your garage or in the basement. You can do right in your kitchens, and there's so much to learn about this process. It's not just beer. We can brew other things, non-alcoholic things. We can make kimchi, sauerkraut. We can make other things. Yeah.
So I'm gonna pause you right there, Trong. I'm glad you brought that up. So speaking of other things, I don't know if we told you. I think we mentioned it, but we were talked about doing a batch of kombucha in the egg. So we actually brewed that up about, what was it, Christy, 2 weeks ago? About 2 weeks ago, we did a batch of kombucha. And it was we did the primary fermentation, no pressure, with the kombucha, with the SCOBY, and with a black tea. And then we added lemon and ginger to flavor it for secondary fermentation. And we were absolutely floored with how it came out. And so we actually ended up with what I had left in the Pot-Au-Brew. I got 2 big bomber bottles like this. Absolutely phenomenal. Delicious. Amazing.
I will say this. I'll vouch for it because I like a drier style. The one that we brewed in the Pot-Au-Brew is by far my favorite.
Because we tried it, we'll say 2 different ways. And the Pot-Au-Brew one came out really, really good. And it had a good level of carbonation too, which we thought was really, really nice to give it a nice crispness. And something we'll definitely brew again. It was so easy. So easy.
Yeah, no, so easy.
Great.
It's so easy. Look, I have to be careful. I fool around with beer right now. This is my kombucha. This is my wife kombucha. I usually You know, like before I retire from the restaurant business, I make kombucha to sell. And then people just love my kombucha. I couldn't make them fast enough. And I make kombucha in way that's very tasty. And actually, my style of kombucha is called shrub. I don't know if I told you that before, but you should search shrub, SHRUB, shrub. That is Egyptian version of fruit tea, and it's basically they use fruit and add vinegar and create things very tasty. But you make kombucha first, right? And then I infuse that with fruit, and certain combination work really well. Like for strawberry and grapefruit work really well. Beet and ginger work really well. You try those beet and beside that beautiful color, you know, like strawberry and grapefruit, they have this pinkish color, nice looking, and then you go to beet and ginger, they have the purple color, and it looks so beautiful because you don't have oxygen, right? Yeah. So the color is just brilliant, and they're just delicious, and they're really good for you. And so I can show you.
I'll have to get the recipe from you for that. So is it the tea, the base that you're using that makes it the Egyptian style?
No, it's the fruit, the infusion of fruit, the way that infusion of fruit, it makes it taste so much better than the store-bought thing.
Yeah.
Guarantee you.
I'll have to show you our little SCOBY that we had.
We're working on it. It's our first SCOBY.
It's our little guy. She hasn't grown a whole lot, but she did double with that batch.
Really?
Yeah.
I make so much, I have SCOBY that this big. That SCOBY like 30 inches in a big tank, and I have several of those things because I have to make to sell, right? So I make them, and then I carbonate them. I transfer them into like a big, like a fermentasaurus. No, I don't know if you remember
yes.
So I usually have a series of fermentasaurus so that I can put them like they're 9 liters, and I actually infuse them and I force carbonate them, and then I bought them and I sell them in half liters, half a liter mason jar, and then because the way I wanted to do that, I didn't want to waste things, so I've made it a mason jar, and people have to pay $1 deposit for a mason jar, and then every day I have customers come in with a big bag of empty mason jar, and they say, okay, now I give you every $1 back. So they just exchange that thing.
I didn't know you were inventing homebrew equipment and then had a full kombucha business on the side.
No, I have. No, I used to run a restaurant. I used to have a. So I used to own a coffee roasting company in San Francisco. So I know a lot about these things. You know, like cooking and fermenting, and also a bakery. I know about bakery. I used to own a chain of bakery in Sacramento called LAB. They're very popular, and until I retired, and I make the best croissants, back in the 70s, and that's why I learned about fermentation, about making kombuchas and making sauerkraut and roasting coffee, and I come with rich experience. Of course, you know that I have a degree in science, so all these things come together very easily. And when I do things, I usually don't want to start inventing things. I used to ask, okay, what can I borrow? Where I can go to borrow stuff from and make things works. So that helped me in my creating some products, which is kind of different from other people.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I knew about your croissant, your bakery that you were in, because you had told us that story on a podcast I did with you, where you did that for a number of years. That was kind of the first thing you did when you came to the U.S., correct?
Right. Well, I came to the U.S. to go to school, and then because the war was still hot and heavy, and I didn't want to go back to get drafted, so I continue on with graduate degree in my getting a PhD, and because my country didn't have any PhD in genetics, so they gave me a further deferment. So I stayed until, of course, true, but then we lost the country. And then when I got my degree, decided that maybe I have a bunch of refugees come here to work with me, and I was a graduate student, I couldn't feed them. So I said, well, I need to find something for you guys to do. So I opened a little cafe making croissants so that I give them a job. And of course,
Sorry, but I got to pause it real quick. Keep going that story, though. We got next hop edition.
Okay, now, draw in.
And Mosaic.
Okay.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, sir.
No problem. I'm glad you remind me
this
that.
This will go from Hop Spider. No, this is good.
We'll circle back around.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so there
we go.
So we want to open a bakery, and of course I never trained how to do a bakery, so I had to get a job in a bakery. When I was running a research lab in Washington, D.C., I go and get a job on the weekend just to learn that. And I come back to Sacramento to open a little bakery for my brothers to work, so that for them to go to school. And of course, I thought I would do that for a short time and go back to science. But the business took off so fast, I just stuck at that for 30 years. So I kept start building until I retire. And of course, along the way, I got involved in the coffee and the rest business and other things. But right now, I really love what I'm doing because I use all my knowledge that I learned through my lifetime to create tool for people to make beer and to do fermentation. And the tool I made, apparently, they don't exist, and people around the world buy it. I mean, I have shipped over 20,000 of the stuff that I made in this kitchen. You believe it? Around the world.
Honestly, I believe it based on everything that you've done. Yeah, I actually can believe that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but going back to what you and Christy were planning to do, I think the Pot-Au-Brew will revolutionize the home brewing industry worldwide, because that make people want to brew beer and was afraid of it, and they're going to have so much fun to do. It's so easy to do, and the result is so good. They're going to blow their friends away.
So here's the challenge I think that we run up against when we talk about the homebrew as a hobby and things. Looking at our statistics that we see on YouTube, it's like 99% male of what views our channel. Granted, YouTube is mostly male anyway, so that's
right.
A little slated. But the demographic is like 35 to 55.
Yes.
Of really that do the homebrew. So homebrew is a hobby, and you and I might have talked about this before, is almost, aging out. And
aging out, and then we got competition. Along with that, we got the competition with aging and some competition with microbrewery that make good beer. Every corner they make very good beer. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, the only way to have good beer and brew it yourself, but that's no longer true.
But even the local breweries, their demographic is in that same age range. They don't see that younger group, that younger demographic coming up and having the appreciation for craft beer that we do. And so I think Pot-Au-Brew is great because it simplifies the process. It's a little less intimidating, but there still is the question of, how do we get the younger generation and the female demographic into understanding and appreciating like fermented foods, like.
Well, it's easy. I know it's going to happen. See, I have a good sense of these things over the years, of the course of my life, but I have a sense of where things coming. And I think, but you have to have the right tool. And right now, there isn't anything like that in the whole world, like the Pot-Au-Brew, when you can brew everything in the container, and something that you can do right in your kitchen, and something that you can actually have fun doing and turn out a good beer in a decent enough amount. 2 gallons is I think it's a sweet amount of beer to brew. 5 gallons is too heavy, take too long to heat up, take too long to cool down, take a big thing to refrigerate it, and too much risk. If something go wrong, you risk the whole thing.
Yeah.
And there's so much to go wrong when the bigger the thing is, but there are contaminations and there are other things. But the Pot-Au-Brew will solve all that. Have you ever had a batch of the beer to brew with Pot-Au-Brew? I haven't.
Well, I wouldn't say we haven't had a bad batch, but it was less about the Pot-Au-Brew and more about my recipe design. There was some ones that weren't quite balanced, but I don't blame Pot-Au-Brew. That was just
Well, that's a different thing. If you throw, you know, it's not the technique.
I think for me, I would like to see it take off because I have to believe that I'm not the only girl that likes beer and likes to brew beer, and the only person that lives in a small kitchen or lives in a small apartment and has a small kitchen. Like, I feel like if we could brand it and market it the right way, there is a demographic for that, because I absolutely cannot be the only girl in the world that likes craft beer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, I told you, I don't know if I told you this story, and I was asked to give a speech, a talk at Sacramento State University during the Global Entrepreneurship Week in November. Because and the people who invited me to talk were the Northern California World Trade Center, because they got the wind that I export a lot of things, and they were so impressed at the fact that I'm just a little guy and exported all over the world. So they wanted to ask me to go to give a talk on and how I do that. So I went there and gave a talk, and people asked me, so what is your next, you know, one of my key things about if you want to export things, first of all, you have to make something really new, something different, something non-obvious, something doesn't exist, and something people can benefit from. And usually when you make those things, you don't have a lot of audience, because otherwise people are going to do it already, right? You do something. So because I make something so unique, such a niche market, my only way is to grow out. If I want to sell it just in California, that may not be enough. In the United States, may not be enough. But I sell it around the world, then that may be enough. But how do people find you? So, of course, with the internet today, if you do something good, you put it on the internet, you too, sooner or later, people find out. That's what happened to me.
Hopefully,
right?
yes.
Yeah. So that's what happened. That's what happened to me right now. So I have now. So you found me, and all of people find me. So that therefore I exported. You know, not just in the U.S. Actually, I sell more overseas than in the United States, because I sell a lot to Norway. Like most my brewing tour go to Norway, and Norway only have 5 million people, and so and then the one lady asked me, so what are your next thing? So I'm going to put all these things together. So far, what I made were components for people who brew beer. So you have to brew beer to know the spunding valve. You know to brew beer to know about the floated. You know beer and a picnic tap. You have to brew beer. If you don't brew beer, that doesn't mean anything to you. So I want to put together in a package that I use the Pot-Au-Brew. That would come at a small, humble thing, but it comes with the best of everything. It's it's a pressure cooker, really well built, better cooking pot than you have in any home. It's thick, heavy, it can go work with any kind of heat source. And I put on top of it the floated that allow you to drink everything that you brew. You have no problem. You have to open in to fix it like any other thing, and the way it's designed, it can fit in this format. If you put a little big other kind of floating dip tube, it can't fit in here. I mean, the tube is too big, and it wastes too much beer. So with the floating dip tube is the fundamental important part of the Pot-Au-Brew. And then you can do pressure fermentation. Of course, you pressure fermentation, you have the best spunding valve. We have the best spunding valve in the world. I'm not the one to tell it, but other people tell me that. And then the last thing is you have to drink the beer out of this thing without trip and without any problem, without beer line. We got a picnic tap. So we got everything right now. We have this package and all the little accoutrements that I will mention to you how to do this. I put the customer consideration, especially the newbie, the people that doesn't know anything about poppet valve, doesn't know anything, they can just use it. They just buy it, open the box, and brew beer, right? With the right ingredient. And I know that's what we have. And I have right now so many people waiting for the Pot-Au-Brew to come out. I have people in Thailand. I have many people in the United States. People in Norway, they wait to have this thing. Because when they have this, even microbrewery can use this to brew pilot batches because it brew exactly perfectly. It can brew with, all grain extraction and partial grain. You can do anything, and it do perfectly. So it's the winner. It's going to be impossible to beat.
I talked about this with you before, but you are selling it, or your plan is to sell it where you don't have to. There's no welding involved. Is that correct? Like
no, I welded it. Yeah, that's my problem. I solve all those problems. I want the customer when they buy it, open the box, and all of these ingredients in the brew. That's what I mean.
Awesome.
And I have solved so many little problems. From the hot spider to how to clean this thing, how to deal with the poppet valve without the spring flying out, how to deal with the location of the valve, the temperature. I have all that. It's solved. I have it solved, and I have it in a perfect format. I think I'm really happy with the 10-liter format. This is really a good size. And it can fit in most refrigerator. It's easy to boil. It can do all these things. So it's just incredible. I'm really, really happy. This is the combination of my work. It takes a lot of things. It's a million little things to put it together.
Yeah.
And you will appreciate that when you will get your hand with this Pot-Au-Brew. You're gonna be blown away by how sweet it is.
Extremely versatile. We've just barely scratched the surface with what we've done so far with it. We got about 3 minutes before we do the boiling shutoff, and then we'll do the
we need to cool it down. We need to cool it down because we don't want to. But actually,
what temperature for the hop steep?
About 180, so lower than 180. So
okay.
So we just don't want to extract more bitterness so much as to like equivalent to a Whirlpool hop,
Yes. Gotcha. I'm gonna throw a little bit of.
Whirlfloc. I forgot about that.
Yeah. No, I got a timer going. Chris is keeping me on schedule, so we're good. I'm gonna throw a little yeast nutrient in mine, just because I like to do that when if I'm not injecting pure oxygen into it, I want to leave a little something for the yeast to be able to chew on to help them build cell walls.
Brian, there's some other thing that really cool that I come up with and make it simple. Everything I want. You see, the reason I do all these things mainly for myself. Right? I do it. There's a problem. I want to fix it for my own use, not to sell. And when it works, then I share with other people. But a lot of time when you brew beer, you do pressure fermentation, everything is sealed up, and you do cold crash and everything sealed up. You don't do secondary fermentation because you do the fermentation right in your pot. And then some of the thing, everything is sealed under pressure. So how do you gonna put like fining in this? Some like gelatin in the thing conveniently. You have to do that at the end when the beer is finished and the beer is cold under pressure, right? So to make the gelatin work. So I created a little inexpensive injector that you can actually fill the little injector, you pop it on and you pressurize it, adjust the pressure so you shoot the gelatin right in your finished beer. And people gonna love it because it's inexpensive, Otherwise, it's a complicated process.
Well, it's not an issue if, like for the dry hopping, right? You can crack that thing open. There's still yeast working. You throw the hops in, they'll clean up the oxygen. Not a big deal. Once you get to cold crashing, you're adding the finings or the clarifier or whatever. The yeast has kind of gone dormant because you crash cooled it. So yes, you need something to be able to inject.
Now, at that point, you don't want air in. Now, at that point, you don't want oxygen in because that's gonna ruin your beer, right? Yeah. So, but then how do you put injecting fining into that? And I'm talking about design something from people who never brew beer before, have very little experience. They don't care about how these things work. They just want to get it done and get the job done and do it inexpensively.
All right, Trong, we are end of boil.
And I have done it. I think I have a really cool way,
All right. Let's see here. And you said we want to keep it about 180, below 180.
Yeah, below 180.
There we go. All right. I'm going to stir it with my hop spider here, which takes up like 90% of my pot.
Yeah, yeah.
I gotta get a smell of this thing here real quick. Let's see how we doing.
Now,
smells good.
But the thing about the Pot-Au-Brew is the more ingredient besides get people know about that, but come up with ingredient packs, because you want the people remember our method is that people just want to brew beer, you know, and having a good time doing it without a complication and go and buy little this, little that, and we don't want it to do kind of a brand dead method like iGulu is, you know, basically it's just do by already made process thing. We want people to be able to brew their own thing and add it to it, and you know, have a little artistry in that thing. You know, like look, when you analyze something like an iGulu, it's just like a refrigerator with with some RFID tool, and that's just basically just to tell when to turn on and when to turn off. It doesn't have anything. It doesn't have a floating dip tube. Doesn't really adjust the pressure. Doesn't none of that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny. So we've done a couple of videos and experiments with the iGulu, and you and I have talked about it before. So one of the most recent ones we did, and I think the iGulu is really targeted at a very younger demographic. So it's supposed to be that plug and play. You don't have to understand fermentation temperature. You don't have to kind of understand where they're going with it. But it is limited with what you can do. I ended up modifying one of they call it the Triton kegs. They're pressurizable fermentation vessels. I actually, I put your floating dip tube in there because that thing is so versatile and valuable. I'm like, this is a conversion this will make it much better. Like this is an upgrade this thing needs. So I love that your inventions work across multiple devices. I mean, and I've seen, and listen, when we did the review on the Float 2.0, the comments, everyone's like, yes, I put it in my Firmzilla, I put it in my All-Rounder, I put it in and it was just overwhelming how well that thing works. And so to be able to put it in the iGulu to kind of improve how that thing functions is a good thing. And if there's younger people that are brewing, and if that's the method that it takes, fantastic. That's a good thing. If there are people that are more creative and want more freedom to be able to really craft the recipes and to be able to make more than just beverages and do the sauerkraut, the kimchi, all of that.
Yeah, all those things. And when you're not brewing beer, you can boil pasta in.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't do that in iGulu. That will void the warranty.
And then you can hand it down to your grandchildren, because this thing will never die.
That's true.
The only way to destroy it is make a bomb out of it. You know?
I'm telling you right now, my goal is the next video. I want to do kimchi in that. Like, I love to cook. I love to ferment. Like, kimchi is one of my favorite things to make. And I'm telling you, that's going to be the next thing we do.
Yeah. Oh, that's really easy now. I plan to have a 6-liter version of the Pot-Au-Brew for vegetable, for solid. You know, that I want to do this so that we can. There's something that really, just like Christy, you want to do kimchi. I want to do soy sauce. I always want. I never done soy sauce before, and it's a fermentation process, right? So I done bread. Of course, I sold millions of bread before, and so I've done that. No big deal. But I'm really fascinated with soy sauce. I want to make really dynamite soy sauce. Yeah.
So, and there's something else that we've been wanting to try, and I can't think of the name of this beverage, Christy. It's the rice.
Makgeolli. We want to do makgeolli.
Yes, and I think the Pot-Au would be perfect for that, with the rice and to ferment it and stirring it and all of that. I'm excited to do that in the Pot-Au.
Okay, we're ready to go in. Just I'm temperature good now. So
you're good. Let me check mine. I gotta give it a stir with my hop spider. Hang on. The temperature is definitely dropping. Let's see what we got here.
We don't want it to be too cool because we need the heat to sterilize the lid. Okay.
Nope, we're good
Okay.
on our end as well. So let's go ahead and do that last steep hop of Citra, 7 grams, 0.25 ounces. That is done.
Okay, and so now I think again, it's very important that you use the heat to sterilize
Yes.
our thing. And this is a it makes brewing so easy when you don't have to worry about contamination. We don't have the chemicals. So I put the lid on, okay?
You know, that's one of the things that kind of threw me when we first started doing the Pot-Au-Brew. I'm so used to the cold side, but it's really like you're boiling it and you put the lid on it and the steam sterilizes it. And so there really is no cold side issue until you've crash cooled it, and then it's real quick. Yeast in, no chiller, no hoses. Just it's
Is that
very,
cool?
very easy.
Isn't that cool?
Is what that cool?
Yeah, I mean to be able to don't have to worry about contaminations and no.
It is. It is. Because when you're dealing with 15 gallons of wort, you got to cool it down fast. So you've got radiators and hoses and chiller water and ice and I'm not knocking it because that's the only way to get those larger batches down. You have to have some way to do it. But it's kind of refreshing to be able to be like, I'm not worried about it. You know?
Yes.
It's a nice kind of refreshing change. It's like I do a lot of all grain brewing and things, and sometimes it's nice to do an extract batch. Simplifies things. And you still
simplify. Yeah, some have great beer. Some have great beer. Don't knock the.
All right. Well, I'm just thinking here. My hop spider is sticking out about 3 feet from the top of my pot, so I can't put my lid on it. I'm going to grab some Star San, and I'll end up sanitizing my lid before I put it on. Okay. It'll still hold at about 170 until we're ready.
Okay.
Do a little hop steep or timer going. So let me ask you this, Trong. When you're doing your yeast pitching, excuse me, are you doing the entire pack or do you do like a third of the pack?
I do just a third of the pack.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, because it's plenty of things.
Well, if you overpitch that much, you're going to end up with not a lot of yeast growth, so there won't be a lot of yeast esters. You won't get that same beer flavor.
Yeah, but it's not necessary. You know, wasted yeast. So I usually just seal it back and use it again for the next time.
Kveik, if you throw it in there, it might ferment out in about 3 hours.
Yeah.
Just chew through everything.
Okay, I need to take a little bathroom break. Okay.
Okay.
You are good.
I'm good.
Sure.
I'm going to let Christy entertain the stream then. No pressure.
Do you need to take a break?
No, I'm good. I'm good. This has been a lot of fun. I think that Reich, what is it called again?
Mackelly.
Mackelly?
Yeah, I really want to do that. It's like that before. It's not distilling. We want to be clear.
It's not distilling.
But it's that before it gets to that point, basically.
It was interesting to see the reactions of the people that had tasted it because it reminded me of like a horchata where it was super cloudy, super milky looking, but it was actually very thick. So there was a lot kind of going on with it, but everyone commented, and the video I watched, there was a lot of US tasters and they're like, wow, this is really good. Like very rich. And I think that'll be a fun thing to throw in the Pot-Au-Brew and just kind of see how it comes out. Now, it looks like it's going to be quite a bit of work to ferment it because it's sturring every day and you have to
that video that I sent you, it was like there's a whole series of like Korean foods and beverages that people will try basically. But it was for English. They were a European or English footballer league.
I'm sorry, okay, yes.
But it's funny to watch them try this. But I think the really cool thing about Mackelly is it's like so low in ABV because it's really not like fermented or anything, but yet there's just a little bit. But it's supposed to be like you can infuse it with fruit flavors. Did you see like they had banana and like
yes, they like the banana.
Chestnut. Yeah,
they did like the banana. I thought that was interesting. So I think that'll be a fun thing to test out in the Pot-Au-Brew and kind of see how that comes out. And I've never tasted it, never had it. So almost like when homebrewing kind of first really took off because you could brew things that you could not get locally. You could brew these exotic styles from Belgium or from Germany or any of that. And, now there's much more availability of it. And so I think it's kind of lost its luster a little bit, except for the people that have started and are still doing it. But that's something that you can't get in the US. That's something that I think is very unique. And so to be able to bring that flavor and taste it and try it, that sounds like a lot of fun. That would be a lot of fun to do.
I'll tell you this, like, I feel like there's a niche for it right now where a lot of those international beverages, it's really popular. So people go to the countries to try all these cool beverages and cool things. So I think it would definitely be a demographic for that.
I think so. And I think it's fun to be able to experiment with those different flavors and things,
Yeah.
I think that'd be a lot of fun to do. There's some other stuff we've looked at, but it seems more complicated. I can't remember the other rice fermented stuff.
Well, I mean, sake and soju. Soju was really difficult. Yeah.
But soju, is that distilled?
Yeah.
We may not be able to do that.
But Mackelly would be good. And I feel like, if you look at the ingredient list, it's not ingredient intense. Like, it's literally like rice. It's just that it's the maintenance. So
you got to babysit. It's like a sourdough.
And you have to make sure it's clean and
Yes. Yeah. No, I think that'd be fun to do. So
I'll get us the correct glasses, they're not glasses, but you saw how they drank it. It was like out of a dish.
Yes.
That's how they drink it there.
Okay.
So, yeah.
While you're getting those, if you can get those really fancy spoons.
I already have those, my friend.
Oh, you do? Okay. I'm like, we need to do samples of the.
I am actually Chinese. I mean,
I'm already set.
What kind of Asian would I be?
I'm set. You're good. You're good. All right. Well, we got 1:20 left in the steep.
Okay.
So hopefully Trong will be able to get back so he doesn't oversteep his stuff. I'm sure he'll be back shortly. It was a good brew overall. I'm curious to see what the gravity is post boil. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, I can't go back and reweigh the grain because it's got moisture in it and water, so that obviously makes it heavier. So I can't go back and check my work as far as did I actually weigh it correctly. But I'm going to do a...
If I'm going to be transparent, I'm almost happy that it's a little bit over because we've run into so many issues with it being under. So
yeah, definitely. All right, let's do a gravity reading here and see how we finished up. All right, so we're supposed to be... And I think our volume... okay, we're a little high in volume. We're like 1.75 gallons. Supposed to be 1.5 gallons. So our liquid was a little high, kind of like Trong said. We are supposed to be boil gravity post boil 1056.
Dum dum dum.
All right, let's see where we're at. All right, 1059.
Oh,
so we're a little high, but that's okay. Not over the top, ridiculous.
Wait, you said 1056?
1056 was the goal. 1059 is what we came at.
That's not bad at all.
That's not bad. No.
That rinse really helped. Like, I feel like that accounted for that. But
yeah, hopefully it's not my system.
Okay.
All right. Or she.
Brian, are you back?
Yeah.
You hear me?
Trong, I'm here. I can hear you. Is Trong back on?
He is.
Okay. We can hear you, Trong. Go ahead.
I don't know if his mic's still on right now.
Nope, I can't really hear you that well. I think your mic may be not liking you.
Brian, are you?
No, you still sound real faint, my friend.
Are we back?
Nope, still faint. Oh, he's messing with settings. All right. I'm going to give mine a stir and take my hot basket out. The steep is over, so we're pulling our hop spider. I'm going to put the lid on it. Let me sanitize it real quick. There's still steam, so I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure we're still hot enough. There we go. I need something to put this in. There we go. All right. There we go. Trong, you still got audio? You still hearing us okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. You sound like you're really far away.
Okay. You're back now, right? So what is your gravity? I forgot to measure my gravity before I close the lid.
I can barely hear you, my friend. I think you asked about the gravity. We were at, and I should have written it down. What did I say? 1056?
1056?
1050. We were at 1056.
1056 was our gravity. And we were shooting for. No, we were higher than 10.
160. Yeah.
1056 was our goal. I think I was higher than that. I think it was 1058. I can't remember.
I thought 1052 was our goal, wasn't it?
Post boil 1056.
Huh.
I think we were like 1058 or 59. Trong, your audio still sounds like it's at a distance.
Okay, are you okay now? Yeah.
No, still a little quiet.
Let me see the audio. Maybe pick the wrong. What's that? Mic. Okay.
Okay, better now?
There we go.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah, it's the wrong mic. Yeah. Okay.
Ah.
Okay,
right.
so
Yeah. Let me did you measure your gravity yet?
no, I already closed my lid and I.
Okay.
Mm.
Yeah, we got. I think it was like 1059.
Mm.
was
with
really
a goal,
close.
1056. So it was. I call that a win.
Yeah, that worked out. That's close enough. That's close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Got it sealed. All right.
Okay, so now I don't know, but you seen you see this thing that have, because now this thing right under pressure, right, and pressure start building up right now, and I made it like the thing that the little syringe filter. This is 0.22 micron filter, so that release the pressure, and then when the start cooling down, it's gonna shrink the volume shrink, and you're gonna create a vacuum. I'm gonna pour air in, but the air come in will be a sterile air because nothing can go through 0.22 micron syringe filter, and the beer will be exposed to air while it's cooling down. So which means it kind of oxygenate the wood. So by the time I open up, I pitch the yeast, I don't have to stir. And that make it easy for me to open and close the lid. And this is such a useful tool. You see, it's a syringe filter. You see this, so I'm going to put it on right now to my thing.
You have all these fancy gadgets. I just have your Pot-Au-Brew.
Yeah, I'm going to have some whole bunch of other things with it. When people...
How are we supposed to review this stuff if you don't send it to us?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm in the process of developing that. I'm actually supposed to send the Pot-Au-Brew. This one right here is go to Shawnee, Kansas this afternoon. I hope I still have time to run it because next Saturday is National Homebrew Day.
Oh,
National
that's right.
Homebrew. Oh. So they have a big event, and they really want to use this thing to display in one of their display, and they already have a bunch of people who want to buy the thing, who want to show the thing. So my goal here, I want to make this, I want to sell it as retail at $400. The $400 would come with everything,
yes.
Everything except for the ingredients. And my goal is to sell it to dealers at $300.
Yeah.
So basically, when I sell it, whoever the dealer buy, make $100. Of course, now a round number. Of course, they have to pay for the shipping and all that, so maybe less. I make $100 whenever I sell one, and I think that worked out to be a sweet spot, because when you compare with any other thing, when you start brewing from scratch, by the time you buy all to do that, you're gonna spend a few $100s. If you buy an Igulu that's $500-600, that's all only do one thing. It's just a refrigerator. So really, it's a refrigerator. You have to buy your own. It's nothing come close to a Pot-Au-Brew. It doesn't have a floating.
Your better half, Nugent. Can we say hi to her?
No, that's my mother.
That's your mother. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so.
Pronunciation's Duen.
Is it Duen?
Yeah.
Duen. I am so uncultured.
No. So that is. They have so many things that people, even professional home brewers, never thought about it. Like the stuff how to de-vacuum. This is a de-vacuum, and then the thing about how to clean. Like talking about how to use this, to clean out your liquid post or your boiler post, and not worry about losing the spring and the poppet. and
Yeah.
clean out the picnic tab. You know, all those little things, hot spider using cloths and whole bunch of how to inject, you know, finding solution into a cold beer, you know, cold thing. All those things we just make the enjoyment so much brewing beer, like and
To make
I think that's
simple, so you can enjoy making of the beer, and
right.
not all the accoutrement and the design and the whatever that comes with it. It should.
And don't worry about it. And then once a week you can get online and you can brew along with us. So that if you have any question, you know, we're here to help.
Yeah.
Huh?
You said once a week. Are we changing the schedule?
No, I mean eventually when we have thousands of people, like when we have 10,000 of Pot-Au-Brew users around the globe, we have to do it every week, right? We have to do it. Every because people we're gonna post. Now the key thing is we have to time it, right? Because one of the downer about having ingredient is have to be fresh. You have to. So people, we're gonna brew ABC beer this week, and if you want to get on it, you have to order the kit right now because we have to sign it up. We have to make it. We'll ship it out, and we'll ship it out to different sources. You can make the beer kit, create your own beer kit, and then ship it out. And see, the key thing is we have with the Pot-Au-Brew alone, it doesn't do jack. You gotta feed it with something. It's like a gun without bullets. You know, you can't.
So my question is, Trong, if you've got all these Asian countries that want to do this, does that mean we're going to have to brew it like midnight in order to do this live stream?
No. Well, because they can either get it online or they can view the recording. See,
Okay.
so either way. So if they're big enough, I had a meeting with a Zoom meeting like a few weeks ago with the brew club. That part of the brew philosophy, because the BRU with the two dot on top, and there was some guys on there sitting there the whole time, didn't say anything. Toward the end, he started saying, "Oh, I'm from Germany. I just enjoy watching this thing." So there was another guy from Thailand, you know, like see, so and that was like midnight over there. Some
people tune in if they're really passionate about it. They'll tune in whenever they can watch it.
Yeah, and they're fine. And you see, I'm a little wacky, and I have a lot of fun stuff, right? Man, people and seeing people like it, and you know, I wear my white lab coat, so it allow me a cover for me to be kind of art.
No, I think it's all good. I think there's definitely some growth potential, and we'll definitely have to reschedule another a monthly brew for now. I think that'll be good.
I think ultimately the key thing is to get the product out and get the ingredient and give people the knowledge, the connection, the brew online. It kind of make people feel comfortable. Okay?
Yes. Agreed.
All right, so.
And that'll just take time. So I think our brew day is done. So I'm gonna, if you're good, unless you got something else you want to talk about, Tron, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a wrap. If you're good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm ready. Things, and I want to see where my pressure of my beer that I've at right now. Oh, it's already 9 PS. No, it's. This yeast.
Yeah, that Kveik yeast really is a beast.
Or at 8 psi. I've set it at 15. That's right at 8 psi. So I'm going to drink this beer. Oh, crap.
Right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap then. I think we're good. This was a good brew day. I'm excited to taste this. I'll pitch the yeast tomorrow once it chills. We'll dry hop your end of fermentation, which shouldn't be more than like probably 4 days or so. We'll check the gravity as we go, and we'll pitch it. And then I will bottle this so that our next brew day we can taste it together. I'll probably drink it before then, but we'll drink it on camera together, and we can talk about kind of how it went. And
I'm going to pitch it in about an hour because I'm going to put it in my swimming pool.
That's right. That's right. You can chill so much closer than I can. I don't have a fancy pool, but no,
it's good. When you do that, can you send us a picture of when you put it in the pool? I think it'd be kind of fun to post that.
Yeah. I actually not only to brew a pool, but many times I brew in a keg, and I call it a flotilla a flotilla of cake floating down in my pool, and then with a spunding valve and a bundle together and a bubbling thing like, because like certain time of year in Sacramento very hot, so I have perfect temperature control when floating in the pool. I can send you a picture of that.
Yes, no, that'd be great if you could post that or send it to us and we'll post it. I think that'll be a good little follow-up. So
Okay.
good. Trong, we appreciate you so much taking the time out of your day to brew with us again. It was a good, successful live stream. I'm excited to taste the beer when it is done. If you haven't checked out Trong's slew of inventions and things, he does have an eBay store. We'll have some stuff linked below as well on Amazon. If you have any questions, Trong is very responsive to his emails. Email him at, trong@homebrewerlab.com.
Yes.
Yep, email him. He's happy to help you, or if you have questions about anything or interested in any of the stuff that he's inventing and doing, definitely feel free to reach out to us as well, Brian@benhambrewing.com, if you have further questions, or if there's anything you want to see or have questions. Hopefully you'll join us on the next live stream. We appreciate it very much. Trong, thank you so much. Christy, thank you also for all your hard work today.
Of course, thank you.
We appreciate it. All right, Trong.
And then sign up for the Pot-Au-Brew. We take pre-order now. Yes.
Oh, good.
We take order. We should be delivered in 30 days. We have to ship in 30 days.
Okay, and that is on your Homebrewer Lab website?
Not yet, but through you, you can let other people know. Yeah.
We will let them know. Yes. Yeah. You can pre-order and get the complete Pot-Au-Brew with all the accoutrement and all the cool stuff and inventions. And I got to tell you guys, this stuff works really, really well. So definitely check it out. We appreciate so much everybody tuning in and all the time that everybody spent making this live stream happen. We'll do another one in a month, and we'll hopefully fix our video issues. I know we're a little poppy, a little grainy. We'll figure that one out. Trong, thank you again.
Thank you. Right. Bye-bye.
Catch you later, my friends.
I'll go drop it in the pool. Yeah.